Юсейн Болт, у вас когда-нибудь еще будет фальстарт?
Usain Bolt has false started.
Нет.
Вам нравится серебро?
Нет.
Here comes Usain Bolt. He's going to win the gold.
У вас достаточно медалей?
Нет.
Вы кого-нибудь боитесь?
Нет.
Вы когда-нибудь еще будете проигрывать?
Нет.
Tonight, the eyes of the world will be on this line here for the start of the men's 100 metres. The biggest name in track and field, Usain Bolt, is looking to add another gold to his already incredible medal haul. It promises to be another historic night in Moscow after some already unforgettable moments from day one.
The story so far. Edna Kiplagat of Kenya defends her world title in brilliant style. Slipping through the gears now. Christina Horigu, comfortable qualification. That was very impressive indeed. Jayla comes again, but Farah's going to get there. This is world domination for Farah.
The statue of Peter the Great that looks over the river Moscow. You saw it plenty yesterday in the women's marathon. It's another hot day here in the Russian capital. 11 million people live in Moscow, but plenty of them flee to their dashers in August to avoid the steamy heat. We're hoping there are still plenty here who fancy witnessing the fastest man on the planet run twice here in the Luzhniki Stadium tonight. Well, we certainly do. Denise Lewis and Colin Jackson are back for more. That's just the icing on the cake, though, isn't it? We have a great lineup, plenty of British stars on show as well. I think the first thing we should do, though, is have a little look back at this morning, because there were some good British performances and some really credible times from the rest of the world as well. But if we focus on our Brits first, Denise, let's talk about Will Sharman. I know before the championships you thought maybe he's a sneaky one of those kind of to sneak in and get one of those surprise medals.
Well, if you look at the heats this morning, I think Colin would echo that they weren't really brilliant. You know, they a bit sluggish in the blocks, but I have to say, Will Sharman, for me, he looked crisp, and I think he might be surprise people. You never know what could happen in the hurdles. A few knocks, few clips of the hurdles, and you're in with a chance. Think about our own Andy Turner, who managed to sneak a world bronze a couple of years ago.
But it's been decimated for us, hasn't it, for Great Britain?
Yeah, I mean, the talent that we have really is immense, but unfortunately most of them are injured at this moment. But Will, I think he ran a reasonable race here, you know. It was about qualification here, and you know what it's like when you haven't really had the opportunity to get on this track. You just want to try it out to see if it's bouncier than before, if it's harder than you expect it to be, so you can get into your rhythm quite well. So it was a good performance from Will. Qualified, and that was the important thing now.
And Asha Philip, who we all know the backstory, had this torrid time with injury after being a junior world champion. She had almost 3 years out of the sport. And this morning, she did what she had to do, Colin.
Yeah, she's in lane one there, and she got a cracking start and just got into her groove quite quickly and just kept running all the way to the line. It's exactly what we want to see our young athletes do, go from gun to tape, and she was rewarded with a nice time.
Exactly what James Dashulia didn't do yesterday.
No, but it was important for Asha to really start well, and she did. You know, she had to establish herself in the race. She drove well out the blocks, and she maintained that relaxation and her form. And as you said, it was about making sure she got through to the next round, and I think she ran brilliantly.
We've never had a woman in the finals of the World Championship 100 metres. Is this the year? Could she make it through, do you think, from the semis?
It's tough. It's going to be very tough. It is. You know, you've got a whole host of Americans. The Jamaicans are still strong. She'll have to perform out of her skin, really. She'll have to probably PB to make it. But you never know. I don't like to discourage athletes and their potential, but she could make it. But it will be a big ask for her.
Hannah England did what she had to do today. She knows all about this stage, doesn't she? And always looks comfortable at big championships. And and made it through well.
I think the boys were a little bit anxious about this stage of the race because they weren't sure whether she could get boxed, if she'd have to go all the way around. But you said it wonderfully well, Gabby. She's an experienced athlete. She's very, very confident in her sprint finish, and she demonstrates here. Look how she just literally glided past the field, put herself in that qualifying position straight away. It was a nice run, but she's a silver medalist here. She's been here before. She knows all about, and she's in good shape.
Sadly, Laura Waitman didn't make it through. She's really been suffering with injury since she was clipped at the trials and had a fall, and she also has asthma, so the Olympic finalist didn't make it through this morning. Just before we came on air, it was the men's 20k walk, and Russia has got its first champion, Alexander Ivanov, crossing the line here. As you can imagine, it was well received in the stadium, which does feel a little bit busier to last night. They've reduced the capacity here anyway down to about 50,000 from its original 70,000 or so, and it looks like a few more might have come out tonight, and they've seen that first Russian gold, that first Russian medal. They'll hear their anthem later on, so hopefully they're in for a good night. And if Usain Bolt can't draw you out into the stadium, what can? And of course their sweetheart as well is here. You'll hear more about her in a moment, but let's show you how the night is going to pan out. Here are your goodies. What chance more British gold in the women's long jump? Shara Proctor qualified in #1 spot, while the favourite American Brittany Reese made it by the skin of her teeth. It's the women's 400-metre semi-finals. Christina Horogu looks to be peaking at just the right time once again, but Botswana's Amantali Monsho is still the woman to beat. Andrew Assaji and Michael Rimmer go in the 800-metre semi-finals tonight. Both have looked good so far in what is a wide-open race. And after Mo last night, another long-distance superstar. Ethiopia's Tirunesh Dibaba is hot favourite to take gold. She's never been beaten in a 10,000-metre race. And of course, tonight's the night for the world's fastest men. But can anyone really beat Bolt? So these are your timings then. We have that long jump final featuring Shara Proctor, Brittany Reese, don't forget of course Blessing Okubari as well. Semi-finals of the 100 metres, our boys Bolt go at 4:05. Then it's the women's pole vault, and that sweetheart I was telling you about, Yelena Isinbayeva, who is an absolute favourite, just warming up. She's getting applause out here. That's 4:10. At 4:35 we have two men going in the men's 800 metres semi-finals, Assaji and Rimmer. And then Captain Christine goes in the semi-finals, the fastest two. Of course, we're looking for those great lane draws for the final. Amantali Monsho is her main rival. Tirunesh Dibaba would appear to have the floor to herself. She's never lost, as we say, a 10,000-metre race, and the opposition really doesn't look like it could challenge her tonight. And then at 6:50, whatever you're doing, get yourself a cup of tea, settle down, and watch the men's 100-metre final. Well, Mo Farah's 10,000-metre golden run yesterday was definitely our highlight. But what does Olympic and world champion Mo Farah do the morning after the night before? Spend it with Brendan Foster, of course.
It was definitely a hard race. I might be the favourite, but sometimes that makes it even harder because you feel all that pressure and everything else. You have to go and do it.
You were extremely nervous yesterday, and the first couple of laps, you were at the back. Now that's become a little bit of a trademark.
I was really nervous, so my aim was to start off at the back, work my way through, and just, you know, get closer to the guys as we get more sort of 6K to go, 5K to go. And sometimes as a race, when it's hot, you don't need to go straight to the front and kill yourself. You just need to sort of gradually work your way through, but just cover every move. To be honest with you, I thought the Ethiopian guys would have taken at the race a lot faster, and our plan, what Alberto told us, was me, Galen and Dathan, stay towards the back a bit and just work together and close that gap towards the end. And then when it comes to 4 or 5 laps to go, every man to himself.
So all the way your race tactics were, the slower it is,
the better for me. For sure, that's what I was thinking, and I don't want to work hard on what I need to do because I wanted to get ready for the 5K as well.
He's looking for his pal. He wants him on his shoulder. He's his wingman. He's his lieutenant, and he wants him there, and he's got him there with 600 to go.
He doesn't need to think about anybody else now. It's now every man for himself. The tactics were unfolding for you.
I was quite surprised Gabriel Muscat wasn't there because I thought he would definitely be up there. I was thinking he's the man, and then with 500 metres to go, Jaylan is making a move and he's coming on the outside, and I'm thinking at that point just stay to the front and then with the lap, I still see him behind. So I was just thinking, go hard here, but make sure I have something left, because I didn't want to make the same mistake as I did in debut.
And here comes Jaylan, the defending champion.
That memory just came back to me. He's there, or not again in my mind. I look at him and he's coming, but I was stronger and had more experience, so my aim was just to be able to just push and push and push and push.
Jaylan is still there, and Jaylan comes again.
I didn't want to let him
How
pass.
determined? I mean, was he definitely not coming fast?
He's definitely not coming fast. It was just like, no, I've waited 2 years for this and I'm putting everything to the line.
This is world domination for Farah. He is the world champion.
Well, it was great last night. What are we going to look forward to? The heats of the 5,000? You won't be looking forward to
No,
that.
I'm not a morning person, but I'll just go out there, just do minimum as possible. Qualify, recover, and then hopefully get ready for the final. But the final, I think, is going to be quite exciting.
With 24 hours to think about last night, are you surprised that his opponents raced the way they did and didn't give him more of a challenge?
I think he was still quite a known entity for them over the 10K because he hasn't run one this year. He was due to run right at the beginning of the year in New York, but he got sick, so he pulled out and ran the 5,000. That's when he got beat, his only defeat of the year. So I think they may have thought to themselves, well, we're not sure how to run that against him over the 10K. So they just ran the race that suited them, and in hope that perhaps he hadn't had the strength that they were expecting him to have.
But also, when chatting to Paula last night, she said if one of his opponents had the courage to mix it up, change the tactics a little bit, they'd probably jeopardise their own race and their own medal prospects. So it's probably a bit of fear and a bit of too much respect for the
They're all
abilities that
fans.
most. They are fans.
We all are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, tonight we're building up to the 100-metre, the men's 100-metre final, of course, the last event on the track this evening, in the semi-finals first. It really is the big ticket at any championship, the most glamorous and coveted of the lot.
Start. Christie didn't go too badly away. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt. Thomas, he's got a lot of room. Here comes Donovan Bailey, and he's going to be very close. Streaking away already. And Lewis Green coming through in the centre. And Christie comes through. And Green's got it. And Lewis comes. Gay's going to win this. Oh, magnificent, Carl Lewis. Watch the clock. It's goal for Bolt. A new world record for Usain Bolt.
So the semi-final lineup, should we take a little look at the main contenders, or names to look at in each one, and perhaps look at it through British eyes? Which of our guys is most likely to come through, if any of them?
Which one are you going to call?
It's tough. I mean, let's think about it. Chambers, Dwayne has the experience of championships. He's got a lot to prove. He's in sort of the twilight of his career. He's been at the top. Colin fancies his chances, but you've got to go with the faster man, and I think James should be the one to get through.
That's an interesting head-to-head in itself, isn't it? Those two there in that second semi-final.
Yeah, it's the first time they're going to clash since James has run that sensational 991. So I think Dwayne himself would fancy his chances. I think you'll look at this and think, you know what, if I really run well, get dynamically explosive out the blocks, put a little pressure on some people, it may be interesting to see how he actually how he competes, how he finishes. But it's a tough old semi. All the semis are tough. It's never an easy ride into any final, any major final. So it's going to be a tight one anyway.
And obviously they've got a matter of minutes, an hour or so, so they have to think about coming back out here again for the final, whoever makes it into the final. How do you approach a semi-final when your position is not assured? Even Usain Bolt is not assured a place in the final by rights. You have to go out there and race. So how do you do it with enough energy and enough speed left for the final?
I think you have and I smile at it because you've got to be really secure in your preparation and your training, that you've worked hard and you're fit enough that you can run very hard competition back to back. We saw in the French Championships, for example, Jimmy Vico, he ran 9.95 in the semi-final and then 9.95 again in the final. He repeated his condition. So I think lots of these sprinters are very well honed and they're ready to go. So mentally, the semi-final is tougher even than the final.
That's where that kind of championship mentality comes into its own, doesn't it? And I suppose the best way to find out what it feels like to be on the start line and get into the mindset of a champion is to speak to one. Here's Donovan Bailey's view.
The starting line was freedom for me. But ultimately, you recognize that there are athletes that you're competing against that already lost the race. When you have 80,000, 100,000 people that are silent, for me, it was just time for work. It was just time for business. It was just, all right, let's go.
Away first time, they've got a good one there. Christie didn't go too badly away, but flying in the centre is Bolden, and now here comes Donovan Bailey.
You have to be totally focused on the job at hand in your race. You have to know what you're doing, and frankly, you shouldn't be thinking about anything. Because if you're thinking about your opponent in the next lane, or you're thinking about how you're going to race, then you are definitely not going to be in the front of the pack.
It's Bailey wins it. Look at the time, 9.97. Donovan Bailey, the new champion of the world.
Winning the World Championships, I think that most people's got to understand, world records are always going to be broken. There's always going to be someone bigger, faster, and stronger than you. Winning titles is something that's very relevant to you being a legend. Having a gold medal put around your neck and also being serenaded by the anthem of your country is probably the greatest tribute that can be attained. It's something that I can stand and I can visualize and remember probably for the rest of my life. I think someone can beat Usain Bolt. Unfortunately, the person that can beat Usain Bolt is Usain Bolt. Usain beat himself in Daegu. I don't see anyone beating him here. I think that he looked rusty. He said he was not race sharp at the anniversary games, but that's only 9.85. So that's the fastest time in the world this year. He had 10 days to work on speed. So I think that he'll be here, he'll be ready, and he'll be probably mid 9.7 shape at minimum.
Will this be his fastest race of the year? Will the final be his fastest race of the year?
It wouldn't surprise me if it was. I think he's ready. I think he's shown, especially at the anniversary games, that he is growing into form, and with the confidence that no one might be close to him, I think might relax a little bit more than we've seen of late.
It's interesting to hear, Donovan said last night, didn't he, that in the space of time between the anniversary games and these championships, he was going to work on his speed, which to most of us is a bit mind-blowing. What does that mean exactly? What's he working on the rest of the time then? So what is he doing specifically that is about speed that he isn't already about speed?
I describe it as turnover work. So you get your legs moving as fast as you possibly could. It can be done by doing drive out, so you're going from 0 to 10 meters as fast as you can, hitting the floor as quickly as you can. It can be done by flying runs, where you build and you accelerate to a certain point, and then you literally, well, I'm going to use the term we'd use, leg it as quickly as you possibly can for 20 or 30 meters, and that will generate more speed.
And that's the kind of thing, those sessions he wouldn't necessarily be doing in the build-up, say, to the other Diamond Leagues, but this is a specific speed work. We just saw Bolt there, by the way, doing his limbering up, and James Dasolu there looks a little bit more pensive.
Pensive, doesn't he? I was thinking the same thing. But like Colin says, all the hard work should have been done. In James's case, he needs this preparation time to actually find his form, because he hasn't been as crisp and as sharp as the likes of Bolt.
So will he not have been doing those kinds of sessions then?
Yes, he will, but also because he's been hurt, he hasn't been out the block. So it's a little bit about the mind and about the technique, thinking a bit more about the technique, whereas Bolt is probably trying to feel the relaxation, the effortless running that you need to sprint as quickly as he does.
Okay, well, Great Britain has some heritage here in this Luzhniki Stadium. Let's go back to 1980 and Alan Wells.
Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium comes steeped in history, with echoes of the past around every corner. In 1980, the venue hosted the Olympic Games, an event played out against a backdrop of political unrest.
Those who believe that sport has nothing to do with politics are living in a dream world.
Relations between the USSR and the West were tense. The Cold War had sunk into deep freeze, and the USA chose to boycott the Games. Controversially, Britain did send a team, and 28-year-old Alan Wells had only one thing on his mind: ending the nation's 56-year wait for 100 metres Olympic gold.
The Olympic final underway. Wells got away well, and also going well is Lara, and on the far side Lennon and Accident. But it's Wells on the near side for Great Britain. On the far side Lennon of Cuba. They can't see each other. Wells lunges at the line and takes the gold medal.
He did it! He won it!
Oh, magic, magic.
Brilliant!
He then came within a whisker of completing an historic sprint double in the 200 metres.
Leonard coming on the inside, and he's hanging on, but Manea's closing the gap. Wells is holding, Manea's got there, Manea of Italy gets there. Alan Wells in second place.
The weakened field in Moscow led some to question the validity of Wells' achievements. However, 2 weeks later, he accepted an invitation to race against the absent Americans over 100 metres in Germany. He crossed the line in first place.
Well, that was my first Olympic memory. I don't know about you. You're a little bit older than me.
Yes, I remember 76, so yeah, so I go a little bit further back than you. Yeah, but it's a stunning performance by Alan, and what Phil said in that piece there, where everybody was saying, oh, well, the Americans not here, and Houston McTeer was the fastest person. But he did go on and he did race them, he did beat them, and then he went to the World Cup a year later in 81 and he beat them again. So he really proved that he was a true world leader.
And for anybody who's watching that with no Alan Wells knowledge, and you saw that woman shouting there quite crazily, that's his wife, Margot Wells, and she was his coach, of course, as well. Still coaches plenty of sprinters and lots of other sportsmen. And you know, they were in a unique combination, weren't they, in many ways, travelling around together, you know, doing their thing and
absolutely
in isolation almost.
Yes, and then said anyone who knows Margot, no, she's very vocal, isn't she?
She's definitely not tempered that voice over the years, and nor should she. Let's go outside and have a little look at the long jumpers are out there. Shara Proctor getting ready for her final. She's qualified in top spot, Denise, but we shouldn't really kind of put any added pressure and take anything from that. She qualified in top spot in London and ended up down in 9th place, but she was 26 centimetres off the board yesterday. Add that to the 685, she's over 7 metres. If she can do that tonight, that's a medal, isn't it?
I wish long jumping was that simple.
Simple maths.
Yes, I know. We can't hang the medal around her neck. We have to, and she has to make sure that she takes each round as it comes. You know, she has to forget about the qualification. This is, you know, the final. She needs to start from zero. She needs to make sure she's on the board, and accuracy is the thing. She can't start thinking about medals before she's actually started to jump. And I think that might have been the problem in London, having jumped so well in the qualifying round. She thought perhaps that she was guaranteed a medal, and it didn't happen.
Do you notice a change in mindset, Colin, this year, or a change in attitude post-London? And she's done consistently well, hasn't she, throughout the Diamond Leagues? She's competed well. Do you see a difference?
It's the consistency that we've seen in her performances, really. She's gone up against the top players in the world. She's jumped well against them, and that is always important for any athlete. It just fills you with confidence, and you recognise your own personal ability. And then you can look at the Olympic Games for Shara and think to yourself, it was just a blip. It was a minor blip. I didn't deliver them for the reason. I can come here and change my own personal history.
She knows she's good enough. She knows she's good enough to get a medal here. There's as I said, the stadium's filling up, but they've got Glishkina in there, who will be the crowd favourite. I think it will really depend on the order of jumping. I'd like to hope that she's towards the beginning of the round.
I think she's going in third,
which is great for her. Which I think, therefore, she will hopefully
get going.
She'll get a valid jump in and start to relax into the competition. Remember, these girls have 6 rounds effectively.
Yeah. Glishkina there with her shades on, although it's not that bright down there. She's obviously keeping the glare of the fans away, because the Russians expect here, don't they?
Well, she also knows that she could also win. Glishkina is also a very good long jumper, and she knows that, you know, the medals haven't been coming thick and fast for the Russians, and she wants to get her name on the board as well.
Although, of course, they have got their 20k walking medal now, so she can relax a little bit. Let's hear from Shara. She spoke to Phil at the training camp in Barcelona last week, and she was in bullish mood.
That first round pressure, 3 jumps, it's a lot of pressure. You have to be ready in mind. Still going after 7 meters, of course, but whatever it takes to win the medal, I'm willing to do it. So even if it's not 7 meters, but I still want to jump 7 meters.
You've been so close to that 7 meters. It's just a matter of time. You must surely think that.
Yeah, it's all timing. I mean, God, it's God. He's telling me it's not time yet. So just waiting for him.
And that's for what you learnt from the Olympics last year, where you qualified so well and then didn't do as well as you wanted to in the final.
Yeah. Just see the positive and everything. Just took it as a learning experience and just move on from it. You can't dwell in the past, so just trying to have a positive season this year and a positive World Championships and go for the gold medal this year. World rankings really don't matter to me. It's whoever comes out on top on the day. And at this rate, anybody can come out on top. We have at least 10 jumpers who can win, who can get the gold medal. So it's all about who comes to the battle.
And you're ready for it?
I'm ready for it. Got my guns out.
Well, there are others in the field, as she rightly says, and Blessing Okokbari, who's got a full schedule here, Brittany Reese as well. Shara's moved from East Florida to the East Midlands in the last year. What's the reasoning? What's gone on with her training camp then?
Well, it's about that. It's the coaching. It is about coaching. She's realised and recognised who she works the best with, and if it means I have to move my life there, that's what I'll do. And it's definitely paying dividends, I think, this year for far more consistent. It's great to see.
And Rainer Rieder, who is her coach, he's coaching the likes of Christian Taylor. He's also looking after Tiffany Porter in the hurdles. Got there eventually. But he has a good stable, and there's a great champions around her, and so she is.
And they're all in the East Midlands.
And they're all in the East Midlands. They've all moved there now, so it's a better base for her instead of travelling back and forth, which is obviously time-consuming and not beneficial for your sport.
Brittany Reese is going here for her 6th consecutive global title, indoor and outdoor. She is the girl who, on paper, knows how to jump in a major championship.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that. And remember, right at the beginning of the year, we were very excited about what she was going to do this season because she jumped a huge 7 meters and 25 in Doha. So we were expecting big things from her. But everything's just quieted down
and she only just made it yesterday.
Only just made here. I think the other person we've got to mention is the other American, Jaloch, who's gone over 7 meters. And she actually chose to jump off her wrong leg because she's had a bad ankle this year. And she says she's going to go for it in this final, and she's going to go off her good leg and hope that her ankle will make it through. But Brittany says she struggled. She brought a sight in the board, and when you think you're somebody as good as her, who's won countless numbers of titles, you expect them to be able to do that. That seems a very simple thing for her to be able to do, but she struggled in that qualifying round we saw herself.
Should have a look at Shara in qualifying. She did qualify in top spot, as we say, 6:85, but she had room for manoeuvre.
She's very quick on the runway, as is Brittany Reese. And sometimes we've talked about the surface and how it can vary. These long jumpers can be affected by the Mondo surface, which is what we have here, and they tend to have to move their run up backwards, which makes them run quicker even, and so it's playing with the run up and making sure that you're accurate. And I'm really optimistic, and I hope she jumps well because she deserves to.
Introduced to the crowd there, and she's smiling, looking relaxed, looking easygoing. That's kind of she has to just enjoy the occasion, not put too much pressure on herself.
I think she should really enjoy it, shouldn't she? And I don't think I would alter my run up from yesterday because she did it off her first jump, and if she gets that 6:18 odd plus first round jump, she can relax, and then you can make your adjustments then. Just be cool, just be calm. She can jump a long way.
There's sometimes though, and you're right, that's what she ought to do, but the mind plays tricks on you. She knows that was probably equated to a 7 meter jump. She's going to be searching for it, and that would be the mistake that she makes if she tries to make those jumps count. Just let it flow, be yourself, and she'll be fine.
Would you say, going into the men's Olympic final last year with Greg Rutherford, for example, he'd had a good season, but not necessarily the out-and-out favourite to win Olympic gold. Would you say she's in that kind of form where she's one of the names, she's in the mix, and an amazing evening could produce the kind of result that we saw from Greg?
Well, I I think for Charlotte, certainly she's always going to be in contention. They all know she's in with contention, and you can say, you know, she could be inspired and jump a very long way. But there are many women out there who could be inspired. And
there are
jump a
many
very
other
long
TV
way.
stations along this
saying
platform
the same
saying
thing,
the
right?
same thing about their women,
especially in this event. So you know what it's like as well.
Yeah. But there is a point actually in an athlete's career when you need to start delivering. And she's been the nearly woman. We know she can jump big. She really does need to do it today, and I think that's important for her and her own confidence.
Just looking over my shoulder there to see the start line of the 100 metres, the semi-finals are almost upon us. Harry Akinzariti there is out. He's looking relaxed actually, and taking on some fluid, taking in the conditions. I was down there, as you saw at the top of the show, a little bit earlier on, and it was quite muggy actually. Not much breeze down there, and very, very much, as we heard this morning, that kind of like an oppressive atmosphere down there. It feels almost like an indoor track because there's very, very little air that's able to circulate down there.
I think the sprinters will enjoy that, though. The short sprinters will enjoy it for the full factor that you've got no wind to run against, and you do like running in perfect conditions because it just means your preparation can be very accurate and there's going to be very little to change. So I think they will enjoy this circumstance, and it's, you know what, it's a semi-final. I'm thinking to myself, do you race this and then compete in the final, or do you compete here and you race the final? It's a very tough decision for them to make because it's hard. They're tough.
What's going through his head right now?
Relaxation, and probably should be one thing, which might be first foot out the blocks, make that count. And you know, he's also part of the Reina Reader group, so he's changed his coach this year, and so he's feeling pretty confident because it's working. He's seen the results, you know, 10.08 new personal best this year. He's got everything to go for.
He's in a very tough heat. Let's not forget the opposition: Justin Gatlin, Nesta Carter, the Frenchman Jimmy Vico, who did what we would have liked to have seen James Dassaulu do and run 2 sub-10s back-to-back in the British Championships. He did it in the French Championships when he got his PB. He may well be the top European here, but hopefully that kind of opposition is going to push him on to great performances and great things here. Let's go down to commentary. Steve and Andrew are going to call these ones.
Well, it's a big day in the stadium, a big evening in the stadium. It's the biggest one we've had in terms of a crowd. Good atmosphere building. Something to do with this 100-meter semi-final and final later on, of course, and Mr. Bolt, I'm pretty sure, is the reason why we've got, well, you can see there, pretty big crowd still coming in. .800 semi-finals later as well. Of course, Andrew Sargi, Michael Rimmer going in that, Christina Horogu in the 400 semis. Lots to look forward to, and of course that long jump final continuing. So in the age-old tradition of semi-finals, we've got 3. First 2 and 2 fastest to lose, those will go through, but before that,
a real chance for Great Britain and a real chance for Shara Proctor. She stood a very good chance of winning an Olympic medal last year, but by her own admittance she blew it. Surely she can't do it twice in a row. She was the leader in qualifying yesterday, really going for it and getting closer and closer to that 7-meter line. But her first jump in the final is a red flag. It's a foul.
Harry Akinzariti has been having perhaps his best season since his junior career. Personal best 10.08. Justin Gatlin, the big name in this semi, who will be the favourite, and pacing up and down, looks a little apprehensive. Nesta Carter, the fast-starting Jamaican, the man who's normally the lead-off man in the relay for the Jamaican team. Richard Thompson, Trinidad and Tobago, was in the final last year as the dubious honour of the fastest ever 7th place in a London final, in an Olympic final. Jimmy Vico, that 9.95 clocking, he's been in superb form at the French Championships, is the French champion, beat Christophe Lemaitre, who goes in one of the other semi-finals, but he is the top man from France. And arguably, you could say, in Europe, and not on times. Desailly, of course, is quickest. But watch out for this man, Jabodwana. Won the World Student Games 100 and 200. That was held in Russia a couple of weeks ago in Kazan, so he's obviously used to this sort of environment. Harry Akin-Zariti then with a huge task here. As I said earlier, top 2 only guaranteed a place in tonight's final, and then 2 fastest losers. He's out in lane 9, run his own race, concentrate on nothing else but the race of his life here. We saw a couple of sub-10 clockings in qualification yesterday. Here's the full lineup for you. Bingchan Su of China, and Vanvure from Zimbabwe, Gatlin of United States, Carter Jamaica, Thompson Trinidad and Tobago, Vico of France, Jabodwana South Africa, and Harry Akin-Zariti of Great Britain. "24 years of age now, approaching his 25th birthday. Huge race here for Harry Akin-Zariti. Gatlin and Carter, 2 of the big names of world sprinting, over in lanes 4 and 5. Semi-final 1. Oh, false start. Su over in lane 2. Now the Chinese have come in, have been very good. Now this man won the Asian Championships, and not quite a Chinese record holder. Oh well, actually, you know what? The man next to him, Gabriel Vanvure, might have been responsible for that. Lane 2 was an absolute false start, but there was just a slight movement, wasn't there? I've got a feeling it's going to be Su who goes. It's funny when we have the reactions that come up, and there's nothing come up on lane 3. And I wouldn't mind having another look at that, but I mean, it was an obvious false start as such, but when you see it in super slow-mo, let's just watch it. Was there a movement in lane 3 before that? Very slight. Did you see that? Very slight, and he didn't even move. Are you with me, Andrew?
I am. A Chinese television right in front of us. They'll be showing that replay time and time again. Vanvure, just the merest hint of a twitch, but Su is gone.
Almost imperceptible, and that's unfortunate for Bingchan Su. Su Bingchan. So that's 1 less for Harry Akin-Zariti to worry about. That man had run a couple of hundredths quicker. So Vanvure, Gatlin, Carter, Thompson, Vico, Jabodwana, Harry Akin-Zariti. Good start, pretty good one from Carter as usual. Gatlin's right there with him, the rest are way behind, and Jimmy Vico coming through very quickly, but it's Gatlin from Carter. Vico's not going to get there. Gatlin wins it, Carter's second, 9.95. Harry Akin-Zariti may well have been last there. Well, the script said that these two should go through, and they delivered what was expected of them in pretty impressive style as well. It was always going to be a tough task for Harry Akin-Zariti. I said he'd have to run the race of his life. It was an opportunity to perhaps go under 10 seconds. He didn't get too bad a start. The Carter, as usual, the quickest away, and Carter then watches Gatlin go past, and the 2 of them move away together. Jimmy Vico desperately trying to get on terms with them, but the Frenchman never really with the 2 big names. Just outside 10 seconds for Vico. 10.01 with 2 more races to come, with plenty of good sprinters. I don't know if that's going to be good enough. Of course, we'll wait and see. Harry looked as though once he got into his running, nothing left then, because last 30 metres he certainly gives up the ghost a little.
Well, just possibly a level slightly beyond him, if we're being brutally frank. Jimmy Vico, I know the French had great hopes for him, but unable to get there, and Harry Akin-Zariti finding his level. It's been a good season, but again, what to do? It wasn't a bad run from Akin-Zariti, but simply not quite good enough.
Well, I know that he knows that, you know, he's not going to get through, but just wonder whether he just eased up at the end. 10.34 is clocking. Just watch it, you. Well, maybe doing him injustice. Certainly didn't finish the race particularly well. And well, he knew, didn't he?
Well, Harry's just watching himself back on our monitor here in isolation, and I know you wanted to be a lot closer to Jimmy Vico at 10:01 than where you finished, Harry.
Yeah, for once I'm speechless. I mean, that's not what I'm about. I'm better than that. Obviously came here to be up with the best, train like one of the best. And it's disappointing, you know, because obviously you train so hard, you work so hard. And, you know, it's the world champs, no excuses. You've got to come here and give your best, and today, I didn't give it. I mean, like, I will go away, sit with my coach and see where we're going to go. I'm massively disappointed, you know.
We saw you pacing around at the start. You seemed pretty composed. How were you feeling at that stage?
Do you know what? I felt great. I felt awesome. You know, I felt like I caught the first start, you know, wiped that from my head. Next start, I actually got out all right. Just normally where you see me let loose. You didn't see the real Harry today, unfortunately.
Thanks for talking to us, Harry.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone at home. Really appreciate the support. Thank you.
Okay, so Harry obviously not going through, and Vico with that 10:01. We'll have to wait and see. 9:97 for Carter, and yet again the Russian all-comers record broken there. 9:94, taken down by 100th. So Gatlin top of the pile, the two semi-finals to come.
First round of the women's long jump, it's still Ivana Spanovic of Serbia who leads. And Blessing Okabara there, nearly jumping out of the pit. A little bit ragged through the air. Well, this morning when she came out for the heats of the 100 metres, she sped down the 100 metres straight, 11:04. And certainly employing that sort of speed there. Although her last couple of strides into takeoff weren't terribly good, and her takeoff was terrible. She was off balance, stretching for the board. Left-legged takeoff, crashed down in the sand, but that certainly is the leading jump we've had so far. Spanovic 670, Okabara 689.
Well, we head into the evening, but that warm, still air, that heat remains, adding to the atmosphere, the pressure closing in on the next 8 men to try and make the final of the men's 100 metres. 8, which includes those 2 Britons in lane 3 and lane 9. They wait. Gavin Smelly, the Canadian, on the inside, lane 2. Came through with a rather steady time, 10:30 in the first round. And this, the dance of the start line. Some swaggering, some still, some stretching. James Dasolo, what lies in store for him? Can he make his first major championship final? And there is Kamar Bailey Cole, the youngest man in the starting lineup, but looked very comfortable in winning his heat, 10:02 yesterday. And the Chinese attentions switch to Zhang Peimeng, 26. Before Moscow, his major championship experience had been really just relays. This year has taken almost 2/10 off his personal best in the 100. Nikhil Ashmead goes into 200 metres as well, perhaps his stronger event, but certainly a good chance of making the final. Christophe Lemaitre. Just seen Jimmy Vico finishing 3rd in the previous heat. And Jason Rogers alongside from St Kitts and Nevis. No Kim Collins, of course, this year, having fallen out with his country's organising committee. And Dwayne Chambers, 35 now. First made the final of the World Championships in Seville back in 1999. Some highs, some major lows in his career of his own making. Disqualified for a false start in the semi-final in Daegu at this stage. Ready for this race, but a few of the cameras focusing elsewhere for the man who will be racing in the next semi-final. Just waiting, watching.
On your mark.
So it's Smelly of Canada in 2. James Dassola goes in 3. Kamar Bailey Cole in 4. Zhang Peimeng of China in 5, Nicole Ashmead in 6, Christophe Lemaitre, France in 7, Jason Rogers in 8, and Dwayne Chambers goes in 9. The second semi-final of the men's 100 metres. Oh, and there was some again twitching. He was looking on lanes 1 and 2 there as well, and a nervous glance across at me from Steve Cram.
Very nervous glance. That's the two of them together there. Obviously, I can tell you that on the computer it's coming up as I can hear the sigh of relief of the Canadian Gavin Smelly. But that was very close. Now it's going to be up to the judges to decide. Here they come. Oh, that's a good colour to bring out. And it's a warning, no more than a warning, which is crazy, isn't it, Andrew? You know, in that previous heat, I mean, even with our naked eye, it looked like the Chinese athlete had been affected by the guy next to him. And then we get a warning on this occasion.
There's Gavin Smelly spared. All adds to the tension. Reminder, only 2 go through automatically in the next 2 fastest. That's all. I think even if he'd run through the line in his heat, he wouldn't have been much quicker than 10:10, 10:15. Needs more than that. So a disciplinary warning has been given there. So we are ready once again. This time they do get away cleanly. Dassault out very sharply indeed, leaving Kamar Bailey Cole for a moment. Dassault out in front, running better, running stronger. Kamar Bailey Cole getting back there. Nicole Ashmead as well. Dassault third place, run out of it in the end for the automatic places. The 2 Jamaicans haring down on them. 9:91, certainly a better run from James Dassault, but he will have to wait. Not so the Jamaicans.
Great race from Dassault. We know the promise that this man has, and he delivered it here. Almost hung on. I just was worried in the blocks. He looked a little bit not quite set. Great start though, and really storming through here. And then the 2 Jamaicans. We've talked about Bailey Cole, this lovely action, but Ashmead strengths it out, but this is close on the line. We'll wait for the photo finish to determine it, but it's very, very close. 9:97 has just come up.
Well, a different Dassault there, certainly. Dwayne Chambers run out of it, but James Dassault down with Phil.
Thanks a lot, Andrew and James. I saw you delighted with that performance. Sub 10 seconds for the second time this year.
Yeah, I'm just relieved after the shocker I had yesterday, just to giving myself a second chance to come and do myself justice.
And with that kind of time, it gives you a chance of being in the final later.
Yeah, I hope it is good enough now, and I'm just going to try and recover, and hopefully I'm in the final.
We hope you see you there. Well done, well done.
Thank you.
Shara Proctor just completing her final preparations before she jumps in round 2. It was a long foul in the first round. Since then we've had Okobare 689, Klashina 676. Now Proctor, what has she done this time? Has she got the precious white flag? Yes, she has. I think she may well have put herself in the mix there. So it will be relief for Shara Proctor. Rana Ryder, her coach, just popping across to see this sometimes brilliant athlete in action. Well, Klashina just before her just jumped 676. And I can tell you already, 679 has come up on the board. So Shara Proctor, for the time being, is in second place. And that is a much, much better jump. She can go further, there's no doubt about that. And nobody in this competition has yet jumped out of the pit. She's still got every chance of going into first place.
Well, it's looking good for Shara Proctor, but a disappointing man beside me in Dwayne Chambers. Dwayne, what went wrong for you, do you think?
I don't know. I went out and prepared as best as I could, and that's what my body was able to deliver. So disappointed, because I really wanted to make the final, because I've given it my all this year, but just wasn't meant to be.
How soon after a race do you know the little maybe mechanics that didn't quite work for you today, whether you were right in your mind, your body, whatever, and how, does it take some time to sink in, basically?
I have to compose myself because I'm not happy.
I know it's a difficult one. It's a really difficult. You wanted to do better than that, make the final. Overall, now, where do you see yourself going from here?
Well, I've got obligation for the relay, so I'm going to participate in that, and then we'll see.
All right, thanks for stopping. I know it's difficult. Thank you.
All right, fine.
Coming at you thick and fast, literally, with the next semi-final. Usain Bolt at the far end of the straight, and alongside him you can see Mike Rogers, Aaron Brown, and we've already seen some really good sprinting. 3 men under 10 seconds, including Desaolu in that previous semi-final. So let's just clarify this as we go down the line. Desaolu and Lemaitre are the 2 fastest losers at the moment, 9.97 and 10 flat. Bolt surely not worried about a fastest loser spot. Still a little subdued for me, Usain Bolt, compared to normal. Well, that's okay if he produces the goods. Rogers, Bolt, Aaron Brown of Canada made the semi-final of the Olympic Games in the 200 metres last year, still just 21 years of age, improving all the time, close to, well, not far off his best qualifying for this semi. Keston Bledman ran pretty well. On a season's best, just outside 10 seconds. So that 10.02 yesterday. Ramon Gittens of Barbados. It's going to be close, this. It's going to be very, very close indeed. Behind Bolt. Chirandi Martina of the Netherlands, the European champion at 200 metres. Training with Justin Gatlin. Bolt composing himself.
On your mark.
He's seen what's gone before and what's he got to offer. His 2 teammates are through, 3 teammates are through. Are we heading for 4 Jamaicans in the final? Gatlin already through. Top 2 only guaranteed a place. Not the best from Bolt. Rogers got the best start, you'd expect that, but now here comes Bolt and Bledman coming into as well. Bolt's got a little bit of work to do here. Turns on the burners finally, and Rogers just gives him the eyeball. 9.93. Well, he looks into the middle of his chest anyway. I'm not sure he can look into his eyeballs. There's a bit of a difference in stature between the 2 of them. And he's not in when now the smile comes. Looked like he wasn't interested. Well, what do you make of that? That was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, you know, when we watch Bolt, we just have this level of expectation about him that says he should make this all look very, very easy. And at times he just makes you think, hang on a minute, that wasn't a very good start. Rogers is a very good starter, let's accept that. Bledman comes into it, but Rogers is surprising everybody here. And he is running very, very fast. Bolt and Rogers well clear, which is surely good news for Desaolu, and I can tell you that it's coming up on the computer, absolutely confirmed now that it will be Lemaitre and Desaolu to join these 2 in the final.
Well, first thought watching him come across the line is you don't want to make Usain Bolt angry, but it was a very, very good race from Mike Rogers. Again, difficult to know what to make of Usain Bolt, because he did look as if he was giving it his all. Or was he? It's part of the game. A little smile.
Watching himself on the screen and Rogers watching him. That's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I'm just trying to create a bit of intrigue here. I'm trying to get people thinking, oh, I wonder if he could get beat. I doubt it somehow, but we'll see. 9.92, that makes him the fastest of the qualifiers, and yet another Russian all-comers record. And Mike Rogers with a season's best in second.
Well, just to confirm, if you've just joined us, that Shara Proctor, the British record holder, has just jumped into second place behind Blessing Okugbare of Nigeria. 6.79 for the Briton. But this is the defending world champion, Brittany Reese of the United States. Only 6.50 in the first round. We're halfway through round 2. Reese has won this championship twice before. She's a fantastic talent. Oh, wow, that looks as though it could be the first jump over 7 meters. Well, her coach seems to be happy, Jeremy Fisher. But Brittany Reese, the Olympic champion, twice the world champion indoors and out as well. I think you can tell from that technique, it's very basic. But what a talent she's got in that very tall, lean body. Just a very simple hang technique, then reaching for the sand. Fantastic jump by Reese. That really has set the stadium alight. 7.01. She's well in the lead ahead of Okugbare and Shara Proctor.
So there it is then, confirmation of the 4 Jamaicans, 2 Americans. There's one missing on there, isn't there, of course? James Desaolles from Great Britain, and there should be, of course, Christophe Lemaitre on there as well, one man from France to join those 7.
3 very exciting semi-finals there. Even that Lemaitre and not Vico is a turn-up for the books, isn't it? The 2 Frenchmen that you go for. But let's talk about our very own James Desaolles. A different man to yesterday, Colin.
Anyway, and it was good to see that. You know, we always wondered what his tempo was going to be in championships, because Denise mentioned yesterday that he hasn't got the same type of experience in this type of company. But it was a sensational performance from him, wasn't it? It's his second time under 10 seconds. But what was special about today is that he came off a bad race yesterday and he competed here today, and that really to me is a good positive sign on where he's at this moment.
I agree, and you know, on the start line, the words he was saying to me, it's like he was really fired up.
Pumping himself up, wasn't
he? We don't normally see that from James, but he was saying fast twitch, so he knows that he had to really deliver in this race. He's obviously had a strategy with his coach, and it worked fantastically well.
He didn't even seem in his post-race interview with Phil yesterday to realise kind of how badly he'd raced. You know, I'm reviewing it later, perhaps it sunk in, because the way he finished the race was just quite shocking, wasn't it, for a heat of a runner who's not competed on this stage.
I think he was actually shocked, because I think he thought he was going out and he just didn't expect that. You know, he clearly has missed some work, but I think he thought he was good enough to get through, and he nearly didn't. And so I think the realisation is really
didn't want that to happen again.
Not at all.
He's not going away from here with any regrets. I mean, he's put himself in a really good position now just to go out there and enjoy that final and run his socks off. Yeah. Bolt, on the other hand, for all kinds of different reasons, gave us a very intriguing semi-final there. He didn't look as if he was ever going to move up the gears at all, did he, really?
I liked his start, actually. A lot of people were saying, oh, he didn't have a good start. Mike Rogers, who's on the right of our screen, is an awesome starter, and Usain was right with him. And from here on in, he's just doing what I would consider high knee exercises. He's not trying it, he's not doing anything. Look at the way his arms are moving.
What's all that about, the head turning to Rogers?
It's no problem for him. I think Rogers is just thinking to himself, I'm battling with him, and Usain's going, hang on a minute, I'm not even out of second gear at the moment.
What's Rogers saying there, do you reckon?
Do you know, I think he thinks, I may have you in this final. So he's looking at him and thinking that.
He's not telling him that there, is he?
I think when he sees the replay, he'll realise that Usain was playing.
It's a good little head-to-head, though, that one, isn't it? Yeah. So, of course, the first heat, Gatlin was the winner in that one. We expected him to be the main protagonist for Bolt here. Maybe Rogers has got other ideas. What did you make of his semi?
Well, Gatlin is such a consistent runner. He has been consistent all season. Never usually the best starter in the world, but once he gets into his running, the power really starts to show. He's really in there in lane 4 and next to Nesta Carter. fast finishing Jamaican, and I thought it was a solid run from him. But
sorry, about the second runner, in lane 4, of course, was a disqualification there as well. What was interesting at that was looking at Vico as well, whose drive at the beginning was almost non-existent, wasn't it? And when you look at the rest of the runners in the field, their heads are still down, and Vico is up, almost observing the atmosphere.
Literally just popped up, and then he just ran into this. He went into overdrive straight away, and that's a very difficult thing to do. So we're pretty sad that he didn't make it through, because the more Europeans in, the better. But we got Lemaitre in.
Yeah, Lemaitra's in as well, and that's kind of a nice head-to-head for James to go, right, okay, I want to be the top European here. The Europeans are next year. Let's go to the long jump now. Blessing Okagbari, who's in the she was in the lead until Brittany Rees's jump over 7 metres.
Here she goes in second place behind Brittany Rees, but she's all over the place. Very cross with herself there. She was totally off balance when she took off in the first round, but that was worse. You sort of forget when you see such fantastic sprint times from this athlete. There's John Smith, her coach, that she is actually an Olympic bronze medalist in the long jump too. But just watch this, way off balance, but it was quite a prodigious distance. 6:58 in fact. She's such a naturally powerful athlete. And this is a lady who set an African record in the London Stadium at the anniversary games of 10.79 in the 100 meters. Erika Yada now, European indoor bronze medalist. Well, you can see the difference in terms of the takeoff speed and the height that Okagbare achieved in her previous jump. So Brittany Rees leads 7:01, Okagbare in second 6:89, and Shara Proctor 6:79 in a bronze medal position at the moment for Great Britain. But we've got a long way to go in this long jump final.
Well, now we move on to the 800 metres and 3 high-quality semi-finals. Andrew Asagi and Michael Rimmer going for Great Britain. Asagi in the first heat, or the first semi, and I think he might have got a good one. I think he's capable from what we saw yesterday. He's had his injury problems. He's been plagued with calf problems, and well, probably right through his career, to be honest. But the last couple of weeks, things have come together really nicely for him. And he looked really good in qualification, I thought, and Brendan, I think, agreeing with me. And I think, Bren, when you see someone like Dwayne Solomon on your start list, who's going to take it out, and you know there are 2 fastest loser spots available as well, you know it's going to be a good hard run race, a true run race. I think that always makes you a little bit happy.
That's exactly right, and he must be happy with it when he looks around. You know, he has got a real chance here. And you know, the exuberance of yesterday, the fact he ran really well yesterday. He's been struggling for that form all season, caused by his injuries leading up to the championships. But I thought he was impressive. I think he thought he was impressive, which was more important. And the fact that the race is kind of almost scripted here, that takes a lot of pressure off an athlete, puts him in a position when he almost knows what he's got to do. And you know, physically, if he's strong enough, he'll do it and qualify.
No David Rudisha, of course, knee problem for him, which came up right at after the first couple of races of the season. Went home from Eugene, and we haven't seen him since, unfortunately. And this man here, Lewandowski, of course, who beat Michael Rimmer, the Europeans. He had a bad journey out here, was training in Europe. He got to Zurich airport to board the flight, and they said, oh, I'm not sure about your passport, seems to have a bit of a crack in it, and they said they wouldn't accept it. He stayed at Zurich for 2 days and only flew out on Friday when he got a new passport. So he came through the rounds, thankfully for him. There's been a few athletes who've had really troubled journeys to get here, haven't there? It's been a bit of a theme. Alex Rowe, the Australian champion, a real good young talent from Australia, just 21 years of age, 145 man this year. Gakame, now this was a surprise. We weren't really expecting anything from him. Best time we had down from was 151, and then he came through with this 146, qualified as a fastest loser. Kevin Lopez of Spain having a cracking year, the Spanish record holder now. He began with a silver medal at the European Indoor Championships. Back in March that was, wasn't it? This is Mohammed of Saudi Arabia again. in Houston, dropped down to a 1:44.36. Massive jump in his personal best. Lewandowski, there he is. Always a redoubtable competitor. Has been dabbling with the 1500 this year on that event in Gateshead of the European Team Championships. Front runner, like his coach, Johnny Gray. Dwayne Solomon, American champion, won the Monaco Diamond League that saw his teammate Nick Simmons come by him in London last week. Andrew Assaji would have loved to have been in those races, but had to concentrate on getting himself fit, and he's managed to do that, and has arrived here, as we just said a few minutes ago, with every opportunity. This is Ferguson Chariot. Yes, Ferguson changed his name because he's a big Manchester United fan. Only started running last year, inspired by David Rudisha. His first season on the circuit. He's a real talent, but he's a little bit raw.
You said that yesterday about him. Is he really?
Absolutely. It's true. Changed his name. It's great, isn't it? I haven't heard anyone from Kenya called Brendan yet, but anyway, you know, you can live in hope. So 3 races, first 2, and the 2 fastest losers, the final on Tuesday. $800-meter semi-final underway. Young Chariot on the outside was a little slow to get away. Dwayne Solomon has started quickly, and also the young man from Burundi, Gakeme, in the red, has sprinted through that first 100 meters, and his inexperience may be telling a little bit. I'd expect Solomon to control this. He loves to be in front. He likes to set the pace. He likes to set a good pace. Lopez has started quickly, and indeed it's Solomon through that first 200. That's pretty solid, 24.38. And well, I'd be surprised if he relinquishes the lead, maybe until he gets into the home straight, and even then it would be very reluctantly.
24 seconds for the opening 200, but Andrew Assaji's in a good place there. He's going to be a little bit slower, obviously, in the first 200, and eventually a fast 200 takes its toll in an 800-meter race. But Andrew Assaji running comfortably in the pack there. 50.6 for the leader, and about 50, nearly 52 for Andrew Assaji. So I think he's done it really well so far. But there goes Dwayne Solomon, with Ferguson Chariot on his shoulder. Solomon's controlling the race as we fully expected, and now here's the opportunity for Andrew Assaji.
Lopez of Spain really struggling, going backwards down the back straight. Andrew Assaji taking the inside route here, but he's still got some work to do. Lewandowski, who he beat last year to get to the Olympic finals, way ahead, and Andrew's struggling here, but he's still got chances in the home straight. He's got to at least get in the top 4. Got some work to do though. Chariot looks tired. Lewandowski hanging on to this hot pace being set by Solomon and Mohammed of Saudi Arabia. Here comes Andrew Assaji. Now he's got to get in the top 4. He's past Chariot, or just about past him. Eyes on Lewandowski. He's got to keep running, get a fast time. Solomon wins it. Mohammed, Lewandowski, Assaji, 1:43.8. Solomon is a tough man to go out. Remember what Rudisha did, of course. He's given them all the way to do it. And of course Andrew Assaji not quite as fit as he was last year, and I'm not sure he would have expected Solomon to take it out quite that hard. That's impressive. 1:43.8 in the semi-final.
Well, that's almost as quick as you can imagine in an 800-meter semi-final, but Dwayne Solomon runs very much like his coach Johnny Gray. Over the years we used to say about Johnny Gray, he always ran really fast. In fact, he ran too fast on occasion. And Ferguson Chariot trying to challenge Dwayne Solomon, but that wasn't to be. Now, here's Andrew Assaji. This is his opportunity, but obviously a bit of tiredness, a little bit of a lack of fitness through the injury. Lewandowski's struggling here, but Chariot really is struggling. But Dwayne Solomon of the United States, Lewandowski making his move. Mohammed strong there, and from this point Andrew Assaji is coming from a long way back, relaxing on the bend, and that's sensible. Now, has he got anything left? Is there anything left in the tank? Good move there, good positioning. He's taking on Chariot. He had to get past Chariot, and there he goes, right past Chariot and hanging on in that 4th place. The time overall for the leader was quick, and this is the season's best for Andrew Assaji, 1:44.85, and you know that might be quick enough, because who else is going to lead them out as quickly as Solomon did? I wouldn't think anybody. So Andrew Assaji will sweat there on that time, but let's face it, to run a season's best here in a good race there produced by Dwayne Solomon, Andrew Assaji acquitted himself extremely well. He's going to have a nervous 15 or 20 minutes, but I thought he did really well there. He's down there talking to Phil Jones now.
It's a tremendous effort, Andrew. Brendan's saying, you know, season's best, to do it in the semi-final, and the kind of build-up you've had, not ideal. Tremendous effort.
Yeah, the aim today was always to get a season's best. I said so many problems this year that's going to held me back, but as it stands, I'm technically in the final, but 2 more semi-finals to go. It's going to be tough to stay in that position. I did the best I could. I gave everything. That's all I can really do. And if I don't get through, I'll be disappointed. If I'm through, then it's a massive confidence booster for me, and I can kind of perform even when I'm struggling.
And you called on all the recent experience you've got at championships to run a very mature race as well.
Yeah, I tried to not panic. Lots of movement, lots of position changes. Trying to worry about the pace. Yeah, there's not really much I could do. I kind of gave everything, left it out on the track. So if it's enough, it's enough. If it's not, I'm sorry if I've let anyone down, anything like that, but it just wasn't enough on the day.
Well, I'm sure you've not done that. We'll keep our fingers crossed for you. All the best, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks again for all the support. National Lottery for getting us here in the first place. All the sponsors, all the physios, getting me in one piece. So just try and do that and hopefully make the final. But if not, again, thank you, and I'll see you again.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, we're into the 3rd round of this long jump final. It's a fascinating final as well, despite the fact that Brittany Reese has gone out to 7 meters and 1 centimeter, and Blessing Okobare is in 2nd place with 6:89. But Shara Proctor here, 6:79. Can she improve on that? Well, it doesn't look like it. Well, with the last jump of round 2, Vola Sudarova of Belarus went out to 6 meters 82. That was a new season's best for her. And the significant thing about that jump is it pushes Shara Proctor down into 4th place. So if Shara Proctor wants a medal, she's got to jump over 6:82. She did 6:85 in qualification. She led the way, and as you've already heard, she was way behind the board, and in fact it could have been measured at over 7 meters. So she's in good form, but now she's got to produce it.
Well, what a great first semi-final. Solomon 1:43.87. Mohammed is only run, that's his 5th race of the year. He's got faster in every single race. The last 2 races have been big personal bests. He goes through. He's a big surprise package. Lewandowski, despite his travails with his travel, came 3rd, and Andrew Asagi with a season's best 1:44.85. We'll have to watch these 2 semi-finals and hope they're not as quick.
And to the second of these 3 semi-finals, Michael Rimmer ran a very thoughtful, controlled race in his heat, but chances here have to be tempered by the reality this is a very strong lineup, only 2 go through automatically. That first semi-final may well prove to be the fastest, and it's great to have a ready-made pacemaker in someone like Dwayne Solomon. So Rimmer goes here, but we talk about the strong American challenge of Solomon, the Simmons, of this man, Brandon Johnson, the former 400 hurdler, who goes here. But also in this race, a man who could well see off the challenge of them all. Not Rafith Rodriguez, but Mohamed Aman of Ethiopia. But again, it's pretty strong throughout this one, Brendan. So it's a tall order for Michael Rimmer.
It is a difficult one for Michael because there's 5 athletes in this race who run faster than him this season. That includes Benedetti that we're looking at right now. And then on the outside of him, there's Michael Rimmer. Looks a little bit nervous, had a bit of a troubled approach. Been in the big stage a lot of times. He's seen that last one. He gets a good cheer from the British supporters. He's a popular athlete. He's a very good athlete, I think.
There is just lurking in the background in the Ethiopian vest. Mohamed Aman has only lost once in 7 races this season. That was to David Rudisha, pre his knee injury, but has controlled and won all the Diamond League races this season, that apart. Ready for the second semi-final in the men's 800 metres. And they know what pace is required. And it's a fast pace indeed after that Dwayne Solomon-led first semi-final. And it looks as if the other American, Brandon Johnson, is going to try and take them out here ahead of Pierre-Ambroise Boss, the Frenchman, also a very, very strong runner. And a man there just being swept across by Rodriguez as they head through 200 metres.
Fairly swift opening, 24.7, and here's Michael Rimmer putting himself right in the race. This is a good move by Michael Rimmer. He realises that partly it's about qualification positions, first two to go through, and then the two fastest losers. And you'll have seen his teammate run 1:44.8, and he's the second fastest loser so far. But Michael Rimmer has got to get in amongst it. But the race coming up to the bell, just slowing in this second 200 metres, 52.2. It's going to be difficult to run 1:44 of that pace, but then these guys got to go and attack it and see if they can do it from now. Michael Rimmer into the back straight, just on the shoulder of Aman, who's probably one of the favourites for this race. Boss of France on the outside, just ahead of Aman and running well. Benedetti's coming under a bit of pressure. Now Michael Rimmer, time to find your run, find your position and make your move.
He's going to have to come from a long way back. It may well be just two automatic places here. And it's a Johnson from Pierre-Ambroise Boss. And there is Mohamed Aman, who's struggling to get back on terms now. Rimmer is being cut adrift a little bit as three separate themselves from the rest of the herd. Out in front, it is Johnson and Rimmer trying to get back towards that front group, but the three are well cleared at the moment. And a man coming through to take the victory from Ambroise Boss, and Johnson run out of it. He'll have to rely on the time. Michael Rimmer back in 6th place, and that time for the winner, 1:44.72. It's not as quick as the first semi-final, and Michael Rimmer, despite all his efforts, will go no further.
Well, Aman looked at times to be struggling in this race, but the class of the man, 7 victories this season, and Michael Rimmer a little disappointed with that. He found no more. He gave himself every chance, and this it was in the back straight. Aman on the inside, his head's bobbing a little. He looks as though he's a little bit under pressure. He looks a bit tired. Michael Rimmer looks as though he's running smoothly, but here there's 4 men in front of him. He knows he's got to finish in the first 2, and he begins to lose faith in that opportunity. He's not going to finish second from there. And look at Aman now. Boss just ahead of him, Brandon Johnson just ahead of him, and here's Michael Rimmer making his run. Aman, at this point I thought he was going to be run out of it, but there's Michael Rimmer trying to make his move, trying to get into a position. He's not going to run a fast time off this. He's not going to qualify. He's outside the first 4 at this point, and Aman at that point comes quickly through. Brandon Johnson loses it in the straight. Boss runs strongly, and Michael Rimmer back in 6th place. He'll be disappointed with that, and I'm a little bit surprised at how quickly they came past Brandon Johnson. Asagi is still the second fastest when we look at it as the fastest losers. Brandon Johnson 1:44.89, so he's out of it now. What a shock for him. But Aman was a bit of a shock for me, because I was saying that he was going to win this race, but he wasn't too impressive there, and disappointing. And downstairs talking to Michael Rimmer's downstairs talking to Phil Jones.
Cheers, Brendan. It was always going to be tough, the 800 metres from round 1 to the final. And how tough was it out there?
Yeah, it was tough. You know, I think I'll make an excuse. I think that first round just took a little bit out of me. It's around like Mercedes' best, so yeah, just missed it a little bit. You know, those 3 are definitely stronger. So yeah, I expected to be a bit closer, but just not on the day. I gave it everything. You know, I just you know, found myself in a couple of bad positions. I had to keep on changing gear, and you don't really want to be changing gear when it's quick. You know, you want to be relaxing. I had no choice. I had to try and get up there, so I gave it the best I could, but I'm just fortunate on the day, just not quite there.
Michael, thanks for talking.
Cheers, man.
Look better for Andrew Asagi as well, because there is the time for Brandon Johnson, 1:44.85. Asagi 1:44.85 for Asagi, 1:44.89 for Brandon Johnson. So Andrew Asagi is still in the box seat for the fastest loser, going into the final semi-final.
Well, it's going to be a very nervous and nail-biting. I can tell you Paula's reactions to the first 2 heats are anything to go by. He's basically in last place, if you like, isn't he, in terms of fastest losers. If anybody in that 3rd place is faster than him, he's out. Rimmer's race, first of all, he seems desperately disappointed there, Paula, with his race and with his performance. Did he get it right?
I think he put himself in the right positions, and like he said, he was in the right places. His body just couldn't respond, and I think he's just missed just too much training. And
there wasn't much more he could do.
Yeah, he didn't have that endurance to recover from yesterday and come back and be able to react fast enough. So
give you your official welcome, by the way. Sorry, because we've obviously done a Jackson swap again, and we've been sat here for a while watching those races, but Paula is with us, you've noticed. And of course, Asaji's not had the best season in terms of fitness and preparation,
well,
but
he's
he
missed
ran
a lot.
Season's best there.
He's missed a lot, and that's all you can ask there. He's run a season's best. He's given it absolutely everything. Again, he put himself in the right place, where last year he was able to get in front of Lewandowski and knock him out at the semi-final stage to get through to the final. He just couldn't quite reach Lewandowski, but he's still hanging in there. So essentially we are just watching that third place and just keeping our fingers crossed that it's slower than 144.85.
Well, you've got Suleiman of Djibouti in there. You've also got Anthony Chemot of Kenya as well. So, you know, it could be a fast race.
It could be a fast race, and the advantage for them going in the third race is they know exactly what they're shooting for. So if I'm in that race and I'm trying to get in the final, I'm making sure that it's sub 145 pace, but that is tough to do out there. So keep our fingers crossed that if two do it and two get away, great, and the third person's a little bit back, that would suit Andrew, but he's in the same position
it's
as
amazing
us.
to think as well, isn't it, that the top three from London aren't here, most notably, of course, Rudisha, the world record holder, and so, you know, it's actually a decimated field, if you like. So Asaji will really want to be in that final, just to kind of maintain, if you like, what he did in the last year. Let's hope, fingers crossed, he makes it. It's the third and final heat of the 800 metres. Back to Steve.
Well, this, if anything, is another loaded semi-final here, and Andrew Asaji will be nervously watching that previous one. He survived by 0.04 of a second. The athlete who finished third in that race, just close to his time, but not quite close enough. So can anybody here give us a race which is going to take them into the 144s again? Nick Symmonds ran so well in London. Many people's tip for perhaps, if not a medal, for once maybe winning the race. He looks a bit nervous there, doesn't he? So he should be. It's a tough semi-final. This is Adam Kshot of Poland, European indoor champion, European team champion at the 800 meters at Gateshead, and then missed a few races and came back in London. Not running particularly well there, might be a bit better now. And there are some people here, you know, running fast times. That El Manaoui, under 145 this year, former world youth medalist. But one or two men to watch out for in the inside lanes. I think Suleiman of Djibouti in lane 4, who will be running the 1500, one of the best 1500 meter runners in the world this year, attempting the double. He's a training partner of Tariq Makhloufi, the Algerian who won the Olympic 1500 meter gold medal. Watch for him here. Suleiman a bit slow away. Bala inside him, the Qatari athlete, the Asian champion this year, has started very, very quickly in lane 3. And Chemot inside, Musagala, sorry, Uganda inside him, also going well. Chemot is in 5. So through this first 200 meters, it'll be Bala, Musagala, new name there, Suleiman, and then Chemot and Symmonds and Kshot, the fast finishers, just settling back. And fast 100, Bren, and then slowing down, 25.11.
That was a fast opening. They were racing there. Nick Symmonds of America in the red vest there, moving into 4th place. He looks comfortable. He looks smart too. That was a clever move. Chemot, a Kenyan, just in 5th place into the finishing straight. They don't look as though they're going too quickly here. That was a 25 opening, but they were beginning to slow. Musagala has been impressive so far, and let's see what the lap time is coming up. 1:51.7. Well, that's a good solid lap time. They can run a good time off this, and if it's a really competitive race like it looks as though it's going to be, then it will be quick. So Symmonds on the outside, Suleiman there just ahead of him. Watch him trying to make his move in the back straight, but Symmonds has been impressive leading up to this event. He looks good there, he's getting ready, he's poised on the outside. Suleiman and Symmonds would be the two we would favour. Now Chemot's making a run.
Suleiman the first to strike. Symmonds follows him. Musagala might struggle to hang on to this. Bala there in 4th place. Then Chemot the Kenyan. Adam Kshot has got great speed normally if he's fit. But what's he got this time round? He's a long way from the front, and Symmonds looks to be in a perfect position to strike on the shoulder of Suleiman. These two just trying to get away, but Bala's trying to give chase and trying to get to them. Kshot's miles away. It's going to be Suleiman and Symmonds, but watch the clock for the 3rd place runner, Bala. Symmonds might just win it, and I think that's a good news for Andrew Asaji. Will make the final again, and sorry to be so British about this as we watch Symmonds and Suleiman, but that is good news. These are tough semi-finals. great depth in the men's 800-metre running this year. We don't have David Rudisha, but we've got lots of very, very good runners, and I think we've got a cracking final in store, and Brent Simmons is one of the men who will think he's got a chance of winning.
And Suleiman is one of the men who thinks he's got a chance of winning, and these two together, good news for Andrew Assaji, who will be celebrating down there. His 144.8 was enough. Those two were very difficult to split, but a winning time about 144.99, and that means that the definite news is that Andrew Assaji, and he deserves it, he really deserves it. These two are going to be competitors in the final. They're going to be tough to beat in the final. I thought Nick Simmons ran well today. Suleiman coming under a bit of pressure as we look head on. Simmons looks strong. We saw him run a 1,500 meters not long ago. He ran a personal best for that. He looks comfortable, he looks controlled, he's looking up at the screen, and he's downstairs, and he'll probably explain to us that was what he expected to happen.
Say that to Telly, that'll be great. I will. Okay. We're right.
Well, Nick's just been explaining exactly how tough it is for an American. Tell everybody at home what you just told me.
Well, I said for an American it takes 6 rounds to become a world champion. I've run 5 now, 3 at the trials, 2 here. Finally booked my ticket into the final. I can really start thinking about, the goal at hand.
It could be American showdown for gold.
Well, I know that Dwayne got in. Did Brandon get in with time?
Yeah, Dwayne got in and looked impressive. You looked impressive.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. But 2 Americans in the final. Dwayne and I were 4th and 5th last year without the medalists returning. That would put us at least in the hunt for a medal here. I'm really glad that Dwayne's in it. He's worked so hard, and he also makes it an honest race, which I think is going to play into my favor.
And you're obviously looking good, feeling good. What would it mean to you to medal?
I mean, shoot, this is my 6th world or global championships, my 4th finals. I've been 6th, 5th, 5th. If I don't bring home a medal this year, who knows if I'm going to be able to in my career. So I'm going to give it everything I got. I think that I'm in the kind of shape, peaking at the right time to sneak in there. If not gold, it's got to be one of the other 2, but we'll see. You got to run the damn thing, right?
We wish you well, mate.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be wishing him well. Nick Simmons, incidentally coached by Mark Rowland. Those are British fans from years ago. Mark, of course, a bronze medalist at the World Championships, Olympics, steeplechase, of course, long time ago, back in the 80s. So Suleiman just got the nod there. Simmons go into the final. Lewandowski and Assaji from that first heat will join them in the final.
Well, this is our first look in this long jump final. Janay Dologe-Sukup of the United States. She's a fine competitor, Olympic bronze medalist last year, but she's in danger of being eliminated. Now, how far has she got? She needs to go further than 6 meters 67 in order to make it into the last 8 and take 3 further jumps in this final. But I know she's been having terrible problems with her takeoff leg. When she finished 6th in London, she was jumping off her wrong leg. Now, I understand from this, for this competition, she's sort of said it's all or nothing. So she's gone back to jumping off her right leg without any real damage, we hope. But she really does need to go long here. And she hasn't done it. 6:44, so the Olympic bronze medalist is out of this final. Well, Shara Proctor really has to get stuck into this second half of this final. Kucherenko, the Russian, has gone past her. 6:81. I mentioned Sudorova at the end of the 3rd round, 6:82. Shara Proctor now in 5th place in this final. This is her 4th round jump. Oh, it's good, but it's not going to be good enough. Gets the white flag. That's the important thing. She had a very long jump on her 1st round, but it was a marginal foul. So Rana Ryder and Shara Proctor will go into the regular routine of just saying, well, that wasn't so good because, and they know far better than I, good horizontal speed, good takeoff, but not the distance that's required. 6:82 plus to get a medal, and that's not happening at the moment for the British record holder. So Shara Proctor, 6:56, just 2 jumps to go for the British #1.
still in the hunt. While she's still got jumps, there is still a chance, and she's looking good, looking relaxed. But let's talk a little bit more about the 800s. Assaji is through, and generally the field, we said going into these finals, looked wide open. Do you feel any different about that now, Paula? Do you feel it's kind of honed down to 2 or 3?
No, I still think it's very wide open. For me, Boss is looking really good at France, Aman too, but Simmons and Solomon, I think, going in, I think they believe that they're going to go out and they're going to attack for the medals. And like Nick said there, he believes that Solomon will take it out, and that will suit him, and they'll be able to not work together, but their races kind of complement each other to hopefully both come out of it with a medal for them. But it's great to see Assaji in the final.
It was wonderful to hear Simmons there, actually, just putting into context that, the brutality of coming 4th, 5th, 6th. But let's look at our own man, Assaji, who his time, as we know, last year in London, in other Olympic Games would have got him a medal, would have got him gold in some.
Yeah.
What kind of form could he produce in a final here?
I think we'll have to see how well he can recover. That's the problem. He hasn't been able to do the work. So he is coming in off limited training, and that is what is going to affect his ability to recover and come back for the next race. But Andrew runs very well off little training as well. So he isn't someone who takes a long time to work back into form. So hopefully that will stand him in good stead. And the big thing is just that whether he can recover, and because he's going to need to run faster tomorrow to place.
Yeah, and we said yesterday, he's a championship performer. He seems to rise on these occasions. He can just dig in and get that little bit extra that perhaps his training doesn't quite say he's going to deliver.
But it's the confidence and that attitude that I'm better than I think I am, despite not having done the work. But like Paula says, it's the recovery that where he'll get found out, and whether he can then move on to race well in the final. But he's done himself justice. It's not easy to come off injury and step into this arena, and I think he's acquitted himself very well indeed.
It's a mental balance. It's like knowing that you've not done the work, but not letting that get to you, not being on that start line thinking about what you haven't done, but thinking about what you have done. And I think Andrew is very good at that, and he will be very good at kind of casting his mind back to last year and what he felt like and how he felt when he was in that shape, and maybe trying to drag some of that out of the muscle memory in there, because he hasn't been able to really do the work there, but he's not dwelling on that. He's just going out there and giving it everything he can.
You may hear in the background there the Russian anthem. Their first gold medal today was won by the 20k walker Alex Ivanov, and there in the background you might see him, the crowd enjoying that, and there are definitely more of them this evening, as we hoped. If you can't come out for what in the end of tonight is the blue ribbon event, the men's 100-meter final, then when are you going to come out? And they are making much more noise, and they very much enjoyed that gold medal. Congratulations to Ivanov there. Let's talk 10k though, and there is it would seem one name and one name only on that team sheet. When you go down, who is going to beat Dibaba, basically, because she's never lost a 10k.
No, it's deja vu from last night with Mo, but more so because Dibaba hasn't lost a championship 10k, and she is coming in really good shape as well. We would have liked to have seen a race against Stafar, but I think orders came in from the Ethiopian team camp that they weren't going to be. They had too much strength and depth, and they didn't want their athletes to double up. So Dibaba is saying, I would have liked to have come back and run the 5 as well, but as it is, I'm only entered in the 10. So I think that makes it almost more of a cert, because she's going to go out and stamp herself on this race, and she's not going to save anything because she's not got another race. So.
Yeah, this is it. It's all or nothing tonight for her. The 400 semi-finals are upon us shortly. Christina Horrigu will be going in the second. They are very strong. Moncho is in the first with Ashley Spencer. And the thing for Christine, I imagine, is getting a very good lane draw for the final, which means she will go out all guns blazing. She's going to give it everything, do you think, in this semi?
I think Christine will run how we normally see Christine run, which is she'll be in the right position to strike at the top of the final bend, and she will bring it home. I think she will know that she's got a pretty good lineup there. Natasha Hastings, who won the US trials, is very strong this year, has run fractionally quicker than her, and Noveline Williams, who is a seasoned performer, finished in umpteen world championships finals, and so she just has to run a confident race.
She will want to win it though.
She will want to win it.
Yeah. Well, we know Christine is one of our top performers in recent times. She manages to peak her seasons, her big championship seasons, to absolute perfection.
Christina Horrigu Perhaps from the better of the first 200 of the two British athletes, but Antjuk has gone very quick, and so has Novleen Williams. Nicola Sanders with some work to do in this second 200 metres. They are flying in this race. Williams and Antjuk 1-2 at the moment, and here come the British athletes. Christine O'Hourigu and Nicola Sanders trying to get amongst the medals here. Didi Trotter will finish quickly for the USA as well. Williams starting to tie up. Christine O'Hourigu coming, Nicola Sanders coming. Will Williams get to the line? Can it be a British athlete? Christine O'Hourigu is perhaps going to get there. Christine O'Hourigu wins the gold. She is the world champion. When did we ever see anything like this? Well, I can't remember.
Yes, no doubt high hopes from a British point of view for O'Hourigu, but the defending champion, this woman, goes here in this first semi-final. Amantle Moncho, she reacted to a couple of rare defeats in the Diamond League to O'Hourigu, and then Francina McRory by powering to the quickest time in the world this year in Monaco. And she did win. It was a dramatic finish in the last World Championships when she held off Alison Felix. Fiercely close finish there is Regina George, used to compete for the United States, running now for Nigeria. Goes in lane 6. And as we look further down the line at Bianca Razor of Romania, I think that 20k walking ceremony for the Russian champion a few moments ago has got the crowd in a spicy mood, and they've got a very strong contender here. That's Patricia Hall of Jamaica on the outside. But in lane 3 you've got Sanaya Rizova, and she was very, very impressive in winning her heat. Went out very quickly there. Actually finished third in the Russian Championships, behind a couple who are only going in the relay. But Rizova will know what the crowd in lively mood in this still evening can do. Amantle Moncho certainly the woman to beat, though. First two go through automatically, and then the next two fastest to tomorrow's final. This is the first of 3 semi-finals in the women's 400 metres. So look out for Amantle Moncho, who delayed just a moment in her blocks, and inside her, going for the United States, the latest great young talent, Ashley Spencer. But Rizova going out once again very, very quickly for Russia, and powering down the back straight, Rizova, and leaving Ashley Spencer with a bit of work to do. Moncho looking fairly comfortable at the moment. 2 to go through automatically, and it may well be between these 3. Ashley Spencer, though, being left a little bit at the moment, and Patricia Hall instead in the far outside lane is looking strong now. Rizova beginning to fade just a little bit. Moncho easing round the bend. Rizova still there. Patricia Hall now losing a bit of ground. Instead, Regina George is there in third place, but only the first 2 to go through automatically. Amantle Moncho strolling to the line now. Rizova going to take second place. And Moncho, look at the clock, 49.57. It is quick. It is very quick. And those are her credentials. She will be very, very difficult to beat in the final, into which she has emphatically moved.
Well, we know all about Moncho, don't we? And I think, I said it in the first round, you know, sometimes in the past she's left some of her best running before she's got to the championships. I think this year it's a bit different. I think we're seeing a well-judged season. I think we're seeing an athlete at the top of her game, at the top of her form. And I think it's going to be a cracking race. I think Christine O'Hourigu is going through exactly the same motions. And Christine always tends to go through the rounds better, and what I mean by that is kind of running it as she wants. The question here is how quick can Moncho go, because that looked comfortable, 49.57. And I think despite our obvious bias towards Christine, we'll be seeing her shortly, but this is so impressive. She looks relaxed in the home straight. She's moving away from the rest of the field. She runs a nice even-paced race, and she ends up with a 49.5 clocking. That's got to worry everybody, including Christine.
Well, Steve's saying it's so impressive. You're so in control. Fast time. Have you put a statement down there for the final, do you think?
Yeah, I'm so happy to run today because I just wanted to qualify for the finals and to run the better time so that I can have a good line tomorrow.
Obviously, in Britain, we're all looking for Christina Hurrigu to do well, and she talked the other day about how friendly you are on the circuit, and yet when it comes to a championship, there are these big head-to-heads. What's that like for you?
Yeah, I like Christina Hurrigu because she's a good girl. She's not like other athletes. She can say hi to you and chat with you and talk about the races, but others, no. I like Christine.
That's good, and we're looking forward to a great final between hopefully herself and you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, and I think I'll have fun tomorrow. I'm still fully good.
Well, enjoy the occasion. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you.
This is round 5 of this long jump final. Shara Proctor, the British record holder, needing something really big to make an impression, but those 3 lines superimposed on the sand there showing the 7:01 of Brittany Rees, the 6:89 of Blessing Okagbare, and the 6:82 of Sudureva. Shara Proctor still in 5th place. That doesn't look far enough. If she could reproduce the sort of form which she showed yesterday in qualifying, she could be in with a chance of a medal. She was in 3rd place for a couple of rounds, but her chances of a medal gradually being eroded, first of all by a Belarusian and then by a Russian. The USA are way in the lead. Brittany Rees going for a hat-trick of victories. 6:66, just 1 jump to go. The usual build-up before a pole vault for the magnificent Yelena Asimbaeva. Twice an Olympic, twice a world, and 4 times a world indoor champion. This is her first vault in this qualifying competition, and she sails over. That was 4.55 meters. 4.60 is what is required to go into the final automatically. She's competed sparingly this year. She won the Shanghai Diamond League. She went to Ostrava, competed well there and won, and recently won the Russian Championships. She is in shape. She's been doing some staggering performances in training. We'll have to wait and see what she can do in the final, but she's on her way.
Well, I'm sure she must have noticed what Moncho did, and not just what she did, the way she did it. Only Moncho herself has run quicker in the world this year. But what a year it's been for Christina Hurrigu. She's had 10 races, 6 of them under 51 seconds, and that's a level of consistency that Christine hasn't always necessarily brought to championships. So she's always got herself right for championships. She said she's been having a bit of fun this year, but that's good fun to have, isn't it, when you're running so well?
Just to clear up the result of the first heat, though, and obviously times to take note of as well. The gap in the times as big as the gap on the track. Moncho very comfortable, and Rizhova also goes through. Regina George, a personal best, may still see her through to the final.
There's 2 personal bests behind the top 2, but don't know if they'll be quick enough. So Regina George 50.84, you never know. But there's the lineup. Tiam, former world champion actually from 2001. Sexnieni from Lithuania, Grenot from Italy, Christine's in lane 4, Hastings of the USA, perhaps the biggest rival in 5, Novlin Williams-Mills of Jamaica in 6, Floria Guay of France in 7, and Kaneki Alexander from St. Vincent and Grenadines. Well, Hastings started the season brilliantly, really. Remember her running so well indoors in Birmingham, ran 50.88 on the boards. And you thought, well, could this be her year? Will she be the #1 going into the World Championships? Well, she's only once been under 50 seconds this year, 49.94. And Christine, of course, ran exactly 50 seconds in London. Never runs under 50 until the championships, and usually the final or in the final. In fact, her heat yesterday is the fastest ever she's run in the heat. She just saw a film of Osaka in 2007. She ran 50.46 in qualifying for that final, 50.2 yesterday. I don't think anyone in British athletics in recent years has judged her path to championships better than Christine Hurrigu. That's Amy Mbake-Tiam of Senegal. You may remember in Edmonton, cracking race she ran then. He ran sub-50 to win. And now at the age of 36, attempting to make another final, but on their season's form. Well, she's done well actually to get the semi-final, I think. Outside her, 25-year-old Seksiene of Lithuania. Personal bests over 100 and 200 and 400 this year, so an improving athlete. Libania Greno, former Cuban, now running for Italy, is indeed the Italian record holder at 400 metres. Well, Christine's not yet the British record holder. Of course, that still stands to Kathy Cook, 49.43. And you think if she's going to challenge Moncho, she might have to have that sort of time in her sights. Doesn't need to do that here, just needs to beat the likes of Hastings here. An American champion at last. Of course, no Sanya Richards-Ross, due an operation on her toe. No doubt she'll be back still in next year. Novleen Williams-Mills actually pulled up in Monaco, watched her that night, and down the back straight. And whatever problems were, they put behind her and has negotiated a way to the semi-final. Bronze medal behind Christine and Nicola Sanders, you just saw back in 2007. That's Guay of France, and then outside her, Kinnicky Alexander from St. Vincent and Grenadines. So just to remind you, top two go through and two fastest losers. Final tomorrow. 3 back-to-back races. First day yesterday of the championships. The team captain for Great Britain. Just needs to win this semi-final in whatever style she fancies. Got Hastings to go after, and Novleen Williams-Mills of Jamaica. They're in lanes 5 and 6 outside her. Cleanly away, and Christine O'Horegu starts rather circumspectly as Hastings has started very quickly, and Novleen Williams-Mills realizes the Americans right there with her already, and Hastings really has taken it to them down that back straight, and Christine can feel that Greno of Italy has moved inside her as well, but we'll be hoping that she's judged this well. Has got a lot of ground to make up though on her two main rivals outside her, and he knows she'll finish past, but she's a long way behind at the moment. So Hastings will have the lead as they come into the home straight. Christine O'Horegu with some work to do here. But here she comes, has to finish in the top two. Winning it would be ideal, and here's that familiar surge of Christine O'Horegu. And now she can just check through to the line. Timed perfectly, timed brilliantly, 49.76. Wow. Almost a personal best, not far off it, and I said she waits until the final normally. Well, that in the semi-final, if Moncho made it look serene, that was perfect judgment for Christine O'Horegu, and she might just want to give a little wink and a nod to Natasha Hastings because she let it out so hard.
Yes, if you're dropped in from nowhere and didn't know how Christine O'Horegu ran, you would be fearing for her here, but it's as inevitable as the coming in of the tide, the strong finish of Christine O'Horegu. And we talked about the fact that only in those finals, in winning the 2007 World Championship, the 2008 Olympics, the 2012 Olympic silver medal, only in those 3 occasions before this had she run under 50 seconds. But again, once again, she timed it absolutely perfectly. And to beat Hastings as well, again, it means the better lane order in the final, but this finish is a thing of beauty.
Well, you know what's good about this, Andrew, is, I mean, I'm commentating, watched Christine run so many times, and I was surprised when I looked at the clock. You know, she was obviously working around that top bend, but she often does, even when she's running 50.5, 50.6. And you're thinking, okay, Williams-Mills and Hastings, world-class athletes. And Christine, though, at this point makes them look ordinary, doesn't she? And I was expecting the clock to stop at about 50, 50.1, and they're 49.76. In fact, it's been rounded down to 49.75, and I talked about that record of Kathy Cook's And you know what? It's within range. It really is within range. More importantly for Christine, though, she's within range of Moncho as well. They are the outstanding athletes of this 400-metre round. We've got one more semi-final to come.
Well, Andrew said it well there. If you didn't know the way Christine runs, you may be panicking, and you two are just so seasoned at watching her, you don't. And I was on the final, oh, well, she's a bit further back than she normally is, but why do we ever worry? That finish always comes good, doesn't it? And to run under 50 seconds just says, you know, I'm in this kind of form, Colin, and I think, you know, I can get quicker for the final. And as Steve said, she may have to break a British record if she wants to get gold.
If she wants to win, yes, I think she definitely will have to go under Cathy's British record. But I was watching her going through the first 200 metres, and what she's so good at is running an even-paced race. She's not the fastest in the field over the 200 metres, so she goes through what I consider a very steady pace. It's around 23.8 seconds, so it still leaves her a lot of energy left at the end. And at the crown of the bend, Christine really believes in herself. So she sees the back of the athlete in front of her, but knows that if she just extends her stride length, she doesn't really have to go for cadence, doesn't really have to go for speed. She just opens up her stride length, keeps the shoulders nice and relaxed, and that always hauls her through the top players of the field. Whilst everybody else, I think, runs a quite imbalanced first 200.
And Moncho, compare her race to Moncho's race.
She's just got a naturally flatter, quick time. I mean, that is really it. She is prepared to go
more consistent,
more consistent, but much quicker through the 200. But what the key is for any athlete at this stage is not to try and find that seventh gear when you're completely flat out, and just stay relaxed. And it takes great composure and confidence in your ability to know that you can just stride it out. And Christine does it beautifully. But look at Moncho here. She hardly looks like she's breathing. It's just unbelievable what she does. And, you know, as I said, she is the woman to beat. She's in form and looking just outstanding.
Indeed. Well, it's the third semi-final coming up. Krivoshabka of Russia, McCrory of the USA in this one. Let's go back down to Steve and Andrew.
Yes, Moncho and Ahurago so very impressive in those first two semi-finals. Who then can challenge them? We'll go first of all to the long jump.
It's a very important stage of this final. It's the last round, and we're halfway through it. This is Daria Klishina. She too is out of the medals at the moment. It's been a very high-class final. Klishina's best 6.76, 3 centimeters down on Shara Proctor, just ahead of her. If anybody wants a medal, though, they've got to go past 6.82. That is Ivana Spanovic of Serbia. Oh, it's good. Now, what flag has the Russian got? She gets a white flag. Well, Daria Klishina, always very graceful, but deceptively powerful on the runaway. Now, Ivana Spanovic, the Serbian, has taken her last round jump, 6.82. It's a new Serbian national record, but that looks ominous by Klishina. It's actually just come up on the scoreboard in the stadium. 6.70, so not far enough for the Russian number one. So Klishina finishes without a medal down in 7th place. Next, it's all about Great Britain and Shara Proctor. She came in here as the top qualifier for this long jump final. 6.85 she did yesterday. She looked superb. Now, what has she got in the last round? She wants the support of the crowd. She's got our support, there's no doubt about that, and everybody at home too. Come on, Shara. There's a medal in it for you if you can get a good jump away. Oh, she gave it absolutely everything. Now, is she saying she went over the board? She's out of the pit now. The white flag does go up. She didn't look too confident about the distance there, did she? Doesn't seem terribly impressed. 6.82 is 3rd place. 6.99 Blessing Okagbare, who runs the semi-finals of the 100 meters tomorrow, and Brittany Rees 7.01. Looks as though she is going to win a hat-trick of victories unless Okagbare can do anything about it. Shara Proctor 6.69. She's going to finish down in 6th place.
Well, while the long jump goes on, before Proctor, you heard the great roars for Klishina from the crowd carrying her down. There will be roars again from the Russian spectators for Tonya Krivoshabka, who is one of 3 women who have gone below 50 seconds. We're considering who might be a challenger to Moncho, to Horigo. Well, Stephanie McPherson, Krivoshabka, Francina McCrory, all have gone below 50 seconds this season, and Krivoshabka by some distance. There she is. Like a lot of the Russians, they don't show their hands. There's a lot of racing within Russia throughout the season, and you wonder how they're going to go. And then they come to the World Championships, and certainly in front of a home crowd, they will be inspired. 2 to go through automatically. And again, the next 2 fastest to tomorrow's final. We have Ori Lorena Boqueso of Spain in lane 1, Esther Kramer of Germany in 2, Stephanie McPherson, the Jamaican, in 3, Antonina Krivoshabka in 4, Francina McCrory of the United States in 5. There she is. Natalia Pegida of the Ukraine in 6, Marie Gayo in 7, and Omolara Omotosho of Nigeria in lane 8. Krivoshabka being shown on the big screen, and so a swell of noise. The last semi-final in the women's 400 metres. Those 3 women in lanes 3, 4 and 5, Stephanie McPherson, Krivoshabka and Francina McCrory, the women to watch, and Krivoshabka going out quickly and trying to put the squeeze on Francina McCrory outside her. But again, those 3, the Jamaican, the Russian, the American, looking good at the moment. So too outside Natalia Pegida of Ukraine. 2 to go through automatically. The challenge has been laid down by Moncho and by Kristina Horigo, and these 4 now coming through together. Perhaps the Ukrainian Natalia Pegida starting to tire somewhat. And in lane 3, Stephanie McPherson, the Jamaican, leading the Russian Krivoshabka, and Francina McCrory, who's finishing strongly, trying to come through. 2 to go through only automatically. Krivoshabka trying to get there, but the Russian may be disappointed. On the line, just, well, it's going to be close for Russian hopes, but Francina McCrory coming through and finishing strongly. Another very, very good race. And the time, well, it's another sub-50, 49.87, the unofficial time. But a very, very good race between these 3.
High-quality races, producing brilliant performances. McCrory with a new personal best, fighting all the way. The 3 of them creating these performances by the fact that only 2 will go through. McPherson, who'd run a great race at this point, just ties up. The knees stop coming through. Krivoshabka, to be fair to her, kept going right to the line. A sub-50 clocking for her as well, and McPherson given exactly the same time. She will join them in the final as the fastest loser. But what a great set of semi-finals we've just had. Very high quality. I still think we can say that even though this was sub-50, not in the class of a Horigo and Moncho. Krivoshabka, well, I don't know what she was looking at the screen for. Everything was ahead of her at this point. McCrory and McPherson. But she dug deep, and the crowd helped her, I'm sure, and she made it by the skin of her teeth.
And she's going to be through to the final, as you were saying, as the fastest loser. Yet to be confirmed, but she will. 2 Russians in that final, Sanaya Ryzhova. That's how close it was. She was ruled out of the 2 automatic qualifiers, but Krivoshabka will go through. Francina McCrory. Krivoshabka, well, in fact, given it on the line as the automatic qualifier, Stephanie McPherson doesn't matter. She'll go through as one of the fastest losers.
Last chance for this wonderful Nigerian athlete, Blessing Okagbare. Oh! Now then, what has she done here? The white flag goes up. It's going to be so close. Brittany Reese leads still at 7:01. If it's not further than that, it means Brittany Reese has won her 3rd consecutive world outdoor title. But what an athlete Blessing Okagbare is. If somebody could get hold of her in terms of technique, her long jump would be out of sight. She's so fast, but raw in terms of talent and technique on the runway. She contests the semi-final of the 100 metres. A lot of people think she could win that event tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see, but no doubt about the talent you just saw there. 6.96, 3 centimetres shy of her previous performance, 6.99. So the medals are confirmed. There is your 3-time champion, Brittney Reese of the USA. What can she do with this very last jump of the competition? Oh, my goodness. It's a red flag. A real anticlimax for the crowd. They thought they'd seen something very special there indeed. But no doubt about the special qualities of Brittney Reese. I have to say it's a big, big disappointment for Shara Proctor, having led the qualifiers. She did a similar thing in the Olympic final where she finished in 9th place. At least this time she contested all 6 jumps of this final and finished in 6th place. So still our best performer in World Championship history was a 4th place by Jade Johnson. Remember her in Paris back in 2003. But Brittney Reese is a wonderful, wonderful champion, no doubt about that. Olympic champion and 3 times a world champion too. 7.01 are the figures. Again, she will go to the top of the rostrum. She is proving to be unbeatable in the big events. And what a talent Blessing Okabare is. And Spanovic, the Serbian, a new national record for her. There's the result, 7.01 for Brittney Reese. Her 3rd consecutive gold medal in the women's long jump. Okabare, I think, one of 3 individual medals she could win here at these championships. And Ivana Spanovic, a new Serbian national record to take bronze. Shara Proctor finishing down in 6th. Well, everybody in the stadium has had a long, long day, but the longest belongs to the decathletes. The first event on day 2 is always the 110-metre hurdles, and it was Ashton Eaton, the overnight leader, who sped away from everybody. He got the fastest clock in 13.72, and that was another score of over 1,000 points for this multi-event magician. Rico Freimuth, though, was climbing the table, and his chance came in the discus, already at 48 metres 41. He went a little bit further in the second round, 48 metres 74. Below 1,000 points, but enough to lift him up into the top 3. Then it was on to the pole vault. Ashton Eaton first, 5 minutes 20 at the second attempt. And he went clear. There is nothing this young man can't do. But pride of place went to a Russian in the pole vault, Ilya Skurenev, who really pulled himself up by the bootstraps to make this vault. 3rd attempt, 5.40. And a whole hatful of points and big cheers from a half-empty stadium. But they certainly enjoyed that performance from the youngster. So Skurenev moved up into 5th place with that performance, but his javelin was poor. Unlike Damien Warner, who clawed his way back into a medal position going into the 1,500 metres with this throw of 64 metres 67. Ashton Eaton confirmed his status as the world's best all-round athlete with this throw. 64 metres 83, 811 points. And that was one of his best throws ever to confirm his status as the top athlete leading into the final event. So there we are, the leader, 168 points ahead of Michael Schrader, 7,895 points. Damien Warner a little way behind. He's 79 points behind the German. And it does look at this stage, even with the 1,500 metres to come, as though the medals have been decided.
And just to clear up who's made it through to the final of the women's 400 metres, there is the lineup. Well, there are 2 Jamaicans, 2 Russians, 2 Americans, and I think 2 outstanding favourites in Moncho and Horogo. It is going to be quite some final tomorrow night.
So the 1500 metres, of course, the decathlon, always a fantastic watch when those guys who are so used to big power and speed lug themselves round that 1500 metres, looking absolutely exhausted. But what can you say, Ashton? I mean, he's just out there, isn't he, on his own?
Ashton Eaton is an incredible athlete. I mean, and he just doesn't seem to have the stature to produce what he does. And, you know, he's not coming into this competition in brilliant shape, but he's commanded it from the get-go. Bit of a tussle on the first day, but he's in such a strong position. I can't see the medals going anywhere else myself.
Let's talk a little bit about the long jump. It wasn't to be for Shara Proctor, finishing in 6th in the end. Will she be disappointed with? She'll be disappointed with her position for sure, and that she didn't get a medal. Or will she be disappointed with the way she jumped tonight, Colin?
I think so, because you'll always reflect on what you did the day before when you don't achieve a little better than, you know, when it really matters. And I just looking at all the jumps that we saw then, she never ever seemed like she was relaxed down the runway. We all know she's got brilliant speed, lots of leg speed. She can gather pace down there and she can hit the board well. But I think she had a little bit too much tension in her shoulder. She was working too hard to get that big jump in. And sometimes this is what will happen when you know you're in good shape and what you're capable of doing.
This is the last jump when she was just trying to throw everything at it, but you know, it's easier said than done, isn't it? Say to somebody, relax, you know, don't be uptight. And you know, Harry Akins-Ariti said earlier on, you know, he felt relaxed, but he didn't look relaxed, did he?
Exactly. And athletics is about finding that relaxation, no matter what event you're doing. When you're tight, the body just restricts itself. And she should be disappointed with her performance. I do think she will be. There's no doubt about it, because she is better than that. She's better than what she's displayed. You know, 6:79 is well within herself. And had she jumped, you know, 6:85 again, she would have been in bronze medal position. Very disappointing.
Yeah, obviously Jade Johnson, she was tweeting about it, saying that she'll be disappointed. She doesn't want to be known as somebody who, you know, didn't get amongst the medals in major championships. Obviously Jade's performance as 4th is the best a British woman has ever done in the World Championships.
Yes. Shara is a much better jumper than Jade was, and I just believe that she really she has to pull herself back from this, because she can't keep failing at championships, because that will mess with her psyche as well, and she's just going to have to look at what she does in this pressure situation.
And for Brittany Reese, we should just give her a well-deserved pat on the back. I mean, 6 titles, 6th title overall, global title, 3rd World Championship title in succession. She is the opposite. She just knows how to pull it out, doesn't she? Because she got in by the skin of her teeth into the final.
I mean, I was thinking about that when she got into the skin of her teeth, as James did in the 100 metres, and she magically pulled it out. But she is a great champion. We've seen her jump on the circuit very well, but she came into this competition very unsure. We could never say, we couldn't hang the gold medal around her neck as we could with some other of the great champions we've seen on form. So to pull out a 7-metre jump when it really matters, it just shows you what a true champion she is.
Well, we've seen some archive already here from the 1980 Olympic Games. It was really one of those games that stands in the memory for all kinds of reasons. The boycott by the USA, of course, gold medal winning performances by British athletes too. We saw Alan Wells a little bit earlier on. Well, there were 2 roommates who met up for us. One of them was Brendan Foster. The other one used to be called Seb Coe. He's now Lord Coe to us.
There is a truth to sport.
Coe has done what he's always wanted to do.
London 2012 will inspire a generation.
Coe gets the revenge he wants. Sebastian Coe is the Olympic champion again.
One day we will tell our children and our grandchildren that when our time came, we did it right.
You talk so naturally about inspiring a generation because there is no doubt in your mind that that's what it does, because it was you. The Olympic Games has always been a love affair for you, hasn't it?
Well, you know, 1972, I remember Lassie Viren, as I'd sort of just about become an athlete and joined a local club. The reason I joined a local club was because of what I saw in the 68 Games with John and Sheila Sherwood, both Sheffielders, and, you know, they did the trip round the schools with the medals, and I suppose my Olympic interest was fired by those two. 76, I watched it with the slightly sobering view that it was probably going to be my turn next. That focuses your mind for 4 years.
In 1978, we shared a room in 78 in Prague in the European Championships.
An army barracks, if you remember.
So let's have a look at that 800 metres, your first major clash against Steve Ovett, who became your big rival.
Sebastian Coe, the fastest man in Europe this year. Steve Ovett, drawn in lane 2, is the second fastest man in Europe this year. And they've not met in a major track event ever. It is very fast. Coe leads for Great Britain, but Ovett is waiting.
The world's beginning to cave in here. And I always remember there's just a moment as he came past me where he did actually smile. But I don't think he expected Olaf Beyer.
And have the Britons destroyed each other? Yes, they have. And Beyer takes the gold medal. Ovett second and Coe third.
79 into 80, 4 world records leading into Moscow, and we know Moscow was a personal trial for you beforehand because the government didn't want us to go to Moscow. People forget that, but it was direct pressure because you were the boy, weren't you? You were the man that we were.
Yeah, and I was also quite outspoken, if you remember, about it.
Are you still hoping to go to Moscow? That's what I'm training for, and very hard, yes.
Mercifully, the British Olympic Association were tough about it. Our federation was tough and said, no, we're going. It doesn't mean we condone the system, but actually it might be that we are ultimately in the infancy of change, which I like to think we probably were. I think if we had not gone to the Games, I think that would have counted against us when we were bidding in Singapore. It would have been very difficult for us to have stood up and talked about a passion as a nation for the Olympic movement, having actually sat out a Games because of political pressure.
Well, let's look at the 800 metres, the pressure we've talked about from athletics. You've got 4 world records, you're going into this race, you're nailed on certainty. I just thought leaving the village, you were a little confused that day about the 800 metres.
Yes, it was probably a mixture of all sorts of things. Inexperience, it was a bloodbath of a race as well. I mean, if you just look at Steve, I mean, talk about redefining the arms race.
You're not doing anything.
No,
so.
I was doing nothing. I'm a bystander. I'm a bystander here. But Steve actually grabbed the race by the scruff of the neck, and he won it. And it wasn't pretty, but that's what he was very good at.
Ovett hits the front, and Coe can't get through. Steve Ovett coming home to take the gold medal for Great Britain to beat Sebastian Coe against the silver.
That was supposed to be a glory day, and you almost did nothing right.
I did everything wrong. You've been charitable.
The ceremony, Steve Ovett standing on the rostrum, and you then stepping up for the silver medal, wasn't your most gracious few minutes there, was it?
You know, everybody said, well, it was because you'd lost to Steve, and it was nothing to do with that. I just knew I'd run so badly, you know. I'd run faster in training.
They were difficult days, but they were either the making or potentially breaking of Sebastian Coe, the athlete, weren't they, the next few days?
No, there were guys, you and Daly kept me, you know, chirping. I remember waking up the following morning after I'd lost the 8. Dee walked in and he went, you know, you all right? I said something lamely like, you know, what does the weather look like? And he went over to the windows, ripped open the curtains, and he went, all looks a bit silver to me out there. So, you know, so he'd started the Daley Thompson School of Psychotherapy fairly early.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was nice because people didn't dwell on it, you know, and I knew that it wasn't really what you or Daly or my coach or, you know, I just had to figure this out. And I kept reminding myself, I'm lucky, I actually have another chance 2 or 3 days later to resurrect this. I just woke up feeling different that day.
The 1500 metres Olympic final. Sebastian Coe comes across from the outside and Steve Ovett tracking Sebastian Coe.
The only thing I knew when I went into that race was I never wanted to walk off the track ever again in my career feeling as bad as I did when I walked off after the 8.
Already, Seb, first lap, you're in the race today.
Yeah, I'm there.
You weren't in the race the other day. You're in the race today. There's a young Steve Cram.
A young Crammy bouncing along there.
Steve Ovett just coming to remind you that I'm still here.
I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Just over 300 to go. Coe in second place, Ovett is third.
Are you believing now you're going to win this?
Yes. Well, there's no going back now anyway, once you hit the front like that.
And there goes Coe. He's looking for Ovett, wondering where he is. He's right there behind him. And Ovett gathers himself on the near side. Straw with the far side. And could this be Ovett's first defeat? Ovett is in trouble. And Coe gets the revenge he wants.
You're better with a gold medal on your neck, aren't you? You're happier.
It's funny how that works. I mean, one of the questions I think you asked me once in an interview, would I have gone on racing and training as hard as I did for 84 had I not sort of come out the right side of it in 80? I don't know the answer to that, actually. Maybe not.
There's a picture of you when you cross the line. It tells a hell of a story, doesn't it?
You know, in a way that sort of quintessentially sums up the games, isn't it? It's a whole combination of excitement, elation, fear, the terror of what you've just been through, and a huge amount of relief.
Yeah. The terror of what you've been through, I think that actually sums that up.
Edward Munch's scream springs to mind, doesn't it, there? And there he is, looking more relaxed and enjoying this championships as a voyeur, not having to go through the stress, Paula, that he did in 1980. It must be a really incredible trip down memory lane for him coming back into the Luzhniki Stadium.
Definitely. I mean, all those memories must come back. Even just sitting there talking to Brendan about it will bring it flooding back, and he's even got him working back on his plyometrics up the steps.
Yeah, he looked quite bouncy there, didn't he, for a man of his age? That was more of a dig at Brendan as well. Obviously, they were roommates, you know, they're of the same era there. He's definitely enjoying, though, I guess, relaxing, watching athletics, taking it all in. I mean, I always felt in London that he seemed to be enjoying it almost way too much for somebody who had the pressure of organising Olympic Games, but he just loves the sport so much and relishes this environment.
I think you've nailed it, saying that he's a real sports fan. He loves his athletics, he loves track and field, he'll work passionately for it, and that's I think why he was so proud of what happened at the Olympic Games. And I guess that's the reason why he voted David Rudisha's 800 metres as the race of the meeting. I think a lot of us agreed with that as well, Mike.
But it's also a reason why we would lobby for him to come in and take over as president of the IAAF when we look for the next one, because he is very, very good in that role. And I think our sport needs someone with his passion and with his leadership and with his vision as well.
Absolutely, he genuinely does care, and that's what you need for someone who is going to be an IAAF president.
He's not a power broker for the sake of power.
No, he isn't.
No.
He's passionate, caring, and he loves it. He enjoys it. I mean, he will be on his feet like the rest of us when our British athletes are running well, and he appreciates all the global performances as well.
I think it's like all of us, when we feel that our sport has given us so much, we want to share it with as many people as possible, and I think that was the essence of his
motivation
speech really at the bid, wasn't it? These kids coming through, we want them to understand what athletics is and what it can bring to them.
Okay, well, I understand we can hear from Shara Proctor, now finished 6th in the long jump final. She's talking to Phil.
Well, Shara, I could see that you were giving it absolutely everything, but it wasn't quite meant to be tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it my all. Unfortunate for me, my two calves decided to cramp up all of a sudden, and I wasn't able to give my all. I wasn't able to jump on my best potential. So, I mean, I still went out in there and fight. Like I said, I gave it my all, and it's nothing I could have done. So, yeah.
So it was bad news that put you in a bad mindset and couldn't get yourself up for the competition, really.
I mean, the first jump, I was feeling good. I was feeling healthy. But after that, every push out after that, my calves just cramped up, and I mean, like I said, I couldn't done nothing to help it. So.
Now, we saw what you did in qualifying yesterday. So when you were at the start there, was it in your mind that, okay, I'm going to need 7 meters to medal tonight, possibly?
I mean, yeah, that was in the back of my mind. But, I mean, I was prepared to come out here and give it my all. I know 7 meters would be the distance in order to medal. But I was just trying to medal today, and it didn't happen, unfortunately.
It'll come in the future, I'm sure, that 7 meters, we know it will, and hopefully a medal with it, and we appreciate you stopping and talking to us.
Definitely. I mean, I still have a season left, so I'm not done yet.
Thanks, Shara.
Thank you. Thanks.
We are just about an hour away from that man, Justin Gatlin, taking to the stadium and getting settled in the blocks for the 100-meter final. Usain Bolt's there. We'll see him as one of his main rivals, if not the main rival, to him winning another global gold medal. Of course, he didn't win in Daegu. He false started 2 years ago, and you sense that he really wants to get back to the top of the tree and declare himself world champion once more. It's the final 1,500 metres of the decathlon. Ashton Eaton has pretty much got things sewn up. He's 168 points ahead going into this.
There they are. They were waiting like caged lions just to the left of us there, behind those advertising horns. But now they're out on the track, ready to go. 3 3/4 laps of the track. Some of them call it the dreaded 1500 meters. At the end of 2 days of punishing competition, the man just not doing the high fives, but shaking hands with everybody, is Leonel Suarez, twice an Olympic bronze medalist, but he's way out of the medals on this occasion, despite having thrown a huge javelin throw. There he is. He'll be lining up number 6, but all the main contenders are there. Damian Warner, who's currently lying in 3rd place, Michael Schrader of Germany, who's in silver medal position, but Ashton Eaton is the champion-elect. And just moving across here, we missed Ilko San Nicolas, the European indoor champion, who's outside of Thomas van der Platz, and Andrei Kravchenko, former Olympic bronze medalist. That was back in 2008. Gunnar Nixon, maybe a new name for the future. Lost his way a little bit in day 2, but he's in with the hunt for a medal at the end of day 1, that's for sure. Ilya Skuranev set the world alight with his pole vault. He's been a real live wire over the last couple of days. Disappointing javelin from him. Pascal Berenbroek, the European champion, he's had a disappointing couple of days as well. Expected to win a medal here. He's not going to do that. Willem Koertzen had a whopping great javelin throw over 69 meters. Pretty solid performer. Just looking down the leaderboard, Koertzen in 12th place. But there is the man who's won the Olympics, broken the world record, and he's leading by a long, long way here. 1 second is around about 7.5 seconds in decathlon terms. He's 168 points ahead of everybody. Leonel Suarez has been there before. Now this is a new name. Carlos Chanin of Brazil. Watch out for him when the Olympics go to Rio. Very talented indeed. And Chanin is actually down in 5th place, so he may go herring off, trying to make up ground on Rico Freimuth, who we'll see in a moment. There's Michael Schrader. He's currently in the silver medal position. Damian Warner has a bronze medal if he can just keep ahead of Rico Freimuth and Carlos Chanin. Warner will certainly be big news next year in Glasgow at the Commonwealth Games, that's for sure. Then Rico Freimuth comes from a family of multi-eventers. And Mayer of France as well. Good all-round athlete. They all are. So can anybody other than Ashton Eaton, Michael Schrader or Damian Warner win a medal? I'm not sure. But Ashton Eaton certainly is going to be the champion, providing he completes 3 3/4 laps of the track. Well, Ashton Eaton settling towards the back of the pack at the moment. Just working his way through. He won't want to finish, as Daley Thompson did sometimes, way at the back of the pack, having done all the hard work beforehand. This guy is a racer. He's quite a talented 1500-meter runner, and he wants to finish with a flourish, that's for sure. There's Warner, the man who's currently in bronze medal position, just behind him wearing the vest of Canada, as they come into the home straight for the very first time. We have there's Mayer of France, and San Nicolas just behind him, and Suarez, and Schrader as well, who's got a silver medal if he stays where he is. Now, Denise, you've been watching this competition for the last couple of days. Give us your impression of the talents of Ashton Eaton.
Strong, quick, and very, very level-headed. You know, 2 very long days for the decathlon. These guys really do embody what it takes to be a really great decathlete. And this man, he's been there. He lost that last time in Daegu. Didn't quite get to the gold medal there, but he's come in actually not very great shape, but he's doing the business. And he looks very comfortable out there. He knows what he's got to do. And it would be great to see him lift that title.
Well, he could be headed for a score of around about 8,800, possibly even 8,900. It's Maya who's way out in front there. Suarez in second place, the Cuban. So it will be a very good score, but nothing compared with the world record he set in June 2012, 9,039 points. The championship record may be in his sights, 8,902 points. That was set by the three-time world champion Tomáš Dvořák of the Czech Republic back in 2001 in Edmonton. My goodness, that was a long time ago. But at the moment, it's Maya, it's Suarez, and then I think it'll be one of the... No, it's not. I thought it was one of the Germans. It's not. It's San Nicolas, the European indoor champion, who's in third place. I think it may be Schrader, who's currently lying in fourth place. And I've just been told by Mark Butler, our eagle-eyed statistician, that Freimuth, currently in fourth place overall, is falling back. So there's no chance of him making inroads into Damien Warner's bronze medal elect position. And the two big men at the front just easing off a little bit. When they come up this time, they'll take the bell. There is the champion. He's got a lot in reserve. 168 points leading into this event. And just going back upstairs to talk to Denise, we've seen some great multi-eventers in World Championship history. It all started, of course, back in 1983 with Daley Thompson. He was the first world champion in decathlon. And this fella, he's the latest in a long line of very good Americans, isn't he? And he could go even higher than the world record he set last year. Well, Ashton Eaton there, just tracking Schrader in front of him. San Nicolas now being overtaken by Kurtzen, the South African wearing the spectacles and the green and gold. He's having his moment of glory. Right at the front, there's a real battle royal going on between Suarez and Warner. There they are, coming into the home straight. Not Warner, I beg your pardon, Kevin Mayer of France and Suarez. Suarez on paper, the fastest of all of them. They're being chased down by San Nicolas and Kurtzen and Schrader. Suarez will win it. Kurtzen second, San Nicolas third. And here comes the champion. Ashton Eaton finishes 2 days of competition. Warner will win the bronze medal for Canada, and watch out for him next year. And Michael Schrader of Germany will win the bronze. Well, it's been a fascinating 2 days of competition. Ashton Eaton started it all off with the fastest 100-meter clocking yesterday, 10.35. 7.73 in the long jump, 14.39 in the shot, 1.93 in the high jump. Not very good for him, but then a cracking 400 meters to end up day one with a big lead over everybody, 46.02. He dominated the hurdles, threw solidly in the discus, jumped exceptionally well in the pole vault, and again was solid in the javelin. And now he's strolled around 3 3/4 laps of the track. It's going to be very interesting to see what his final score is, that's for sure. Well, we'll confirm all of those results in just a little while. But Ashton Eaton, Olympic champion last year, world record breaker last year. Now he's the world champion. Well, Sandra Perkovic has already taken a stranglehold on this women's discus final. The Olympic champion over 67 meters in the first round, and that looks as though it's equal to her first round throw. She became Croatia's first ever Olympic track and field champion last year. She's a real talent. She was the first athlete to throw, and going over 67 meters, that must have put a lot of the throwers on edge a little bit, seeing the discus sail out there. And that was a cracking start for Perkovic, and she's beaten it. There is 67.99 further. She's definitely in first place. Melina Robert Michon in 8th place. She'd love to get in amongst them, that's for sure. Now, this French athlete technically is pretty good. She's the French record holder at 65 meters 78. Well, looks as though she really got hold of that one, and it could be over 65 meters. The coach didn't look too impressed. And that was more akin to what I would term as a German technique. There was no reverse at the end. It was just heaving on that discus, the 1 kilogram discus, with the left foot jammed into the ground. But a very fine throw. She's moved up into second place ahead of Barrios and Nadine Muller, 65 meters 13, just short of her French record. Will anybody beat Ashton Eaton in the years to come? He's absolutely superb as a multi-eventer, and surely he can take the world record even higher than he has done already.
Yeah, Ashton Eaton there, just enjoying his moment. And Denise, you know, when he crossed the line, I always remember Dean Macy saying to me, "We are the knights of athletics, and we are a band of brothers." And you can really see that, the way that they come together, because they're, you know, they're with each other for 2 solid days, you know, and they spend so much time together, you know, obviously from the heptathlon as well, and you get very close, obviously, to your rivals. And it's just a lovely moment when it finally comes to an end.
Well, it's just great camaraderie, and yes, you're right, they spend 2 days together. Sometimes, you know, if they haven't got time to go back to the hotels, they stay in a room, and they just have to respect each other. But more importantly, they're trying to beat the event. They know how difficult it is. You know, trying to string 5 events on the first day, you know, it's so challenging. And then the second day is very, very grueling, with that long, drawn-out pole vault with everyone starting at different heights. So there's great respect amongst them, the band of brothers, as you say.
And how good can Ashton Eaton get? You know, Paul just said there that the world record must be in his sights. Where is it in his 10 disciplines he's got to improve?
Well, we know he's quick. His 100 is great. His long jump is always one of the best out there. You know, I think it's his throwing, really. You know, he had, I think it was just over a 14-metre shot put. He can be better there. Discus as well. He's definitely one of the sort of decathletes that use his speed to great advantage. And then you throw in a great 5-metre 20 pole vault, and he's basically got the complete package. You know, the athlete before him that held the world record was Roman Chevrolet from the Czech Republic. You know, was phenomenal, but he was really strong. Great javelin.
You think it's
thrower.
within his reach, then?
I do think it's within his reach, and we don't know when, but I'm hoping it's very soon.
From one extreme to the other, from the decathlon to the women's 10K, they're out on the track at the moment. Tirunesh Dibaba, the outstanding favourite. She's run faster than anybody else. She's never been beaten in a championship. Hell would have to freeze over, wouldn't it, tonight for her to not win this?
Well, that could jinx it for her. No, but she is definitely coming in as the big favourite. I mean, she comes from a long line. She's cousin of the great Dorota Tulu, and she's one of 5 sisters, and she's just won the 5 and the 10 title at World Championship level, Olympic level, time and time again, it seems like. And she's just coming in shape too. She knows that she's in shape. As we said earlier, she wanted to have that chance to run also in the 5,000 metres, and she's not tonight. I'd like to see her go out and run fast. I mean, she's the world record holder over the 5,000 metres. I think she has it, or has had it, within her capabilities to beat the world record over 10,000. I mean, she's not going to try that tonight, but I'd like to see her at some time just really put herself into that hurting zone and see what she's capable of.
We were hoping for this great head-to-head, but because the Ethiopians have decided, no, she's got the floor to herself tonight, effectively.
Well, she has it to herself. I mean, she doesn't head the world list. She's behind Defar on the world list this year, but she won that race in Ostrava, where a lot of the girls in there tonight, but only by 3 seconds. And then it was Gladys Chirona who did a lot of the work there, and one of her teammates, Ola Jara, was also right up there with the times sort of within 3 or 4 seconds of her. So I think they will be looking. I mean, they know that she can outkick them. So it's deja vu again with last night. You're kind of thinking somebody do something to try and take it away from her, but the thing is, I don't think anybody out there believes that they can run away from Tirunesh. She's very, very strong as well, so I think she will just sit quiet, sit calm, stay out of trouble. We probably won't see her right at the back like we did Mo last night. I think she'll settle somewhere up near the front, but she will strike, and she'll strike hard at the end.
The athletes have been on the track, but it's the rule that they get taken out and marched back in, so they have to come in a line, apparently. Did that happen in your day?
No, he didn't actually. We were allowed to go out, and once we were out, we were allowed to do strides, we were allowed to stretch on the grass, we were allowed to go backwards and forwards from the kit boxes and put our kit in boxes on the track, but now the boxes are off the track.
Yeah, you can see there, they've all been taken into one of the entrances, and they're going to be marched out in a formal manner. They like to do things properly around these parts, you know.
Yeah, you can see Jordan Hasay there of the USA coming out. She's just 21, and she's actually in the same stable with Alberto Salazar as Mo Farah, and coming in probably just sneaked the qualifying time at the last minute to Anna, looking more to her teammate Shalane Flanagan, who did grab the bronze in 2008 in Beijing after a bout of food poisoning actually, and couldn't train a lot in the build up to the race, and then was able to just get herself to the start line, and maybe the rest helped her, maybe the drip that they had on afterwards helped a little bit with the hydration, I don't know, but she ran really well. And
she's one of the fastest in the field, isn't she? But it's that girl Dibaba, Tirunesh Dibaba, who all eyes will be on, and Paula will be contributing to commentary, but let's hand you down to Brendan and Steve. Brendan, nice job with Lord Coe.
Thank you very much. He was a pleasure to talk to. He's really relaxed. He loves talking about athletics, and I love talking about athletics with him. It was great. Steve, she's a pretty good athlete, isn't she?
Well, I guess the argument is that she's the best ever, and I think she has absolutely every right to claim that right as the greatest distance runner. Of course, we were hoping that she might run the London Marathon this year. That didn't happen. She's had 1 or 2 injury problems in the last 2-3 years, but starts as the outstanding favourite here in this women's 10,000 final. So just a couple of names to pick out. The Americans well represented. Hastings, young Jordan Hasay, and we'll be seeing Shalane Flanagan on the second sheet as well. The Kenyans there, Chepyego, Algira mentioned by Paula, and Nia going for Japan after the medal for them in the marathon. Who knows, there may be some minor medals here, or bronze or silver, who knows, behind Dibaba. It's going to be an intriguing race. You just don't see anybody here capable of really contributing in a way which, well, we didn't even see it in the men's 10, but, you know, really shaking the race up and doing anything. There's young Jordan Hasay, real talent from USA. He's 21 years of age. There's Gladys Chirono. Now, she ran in that 10K in Ostrava, where Dibaba won. Ran 30:26. Chirono was second behind her. And Algira finished in 3rd place, so they know each other pretty well already this year, those three. But it's not about the times you bring to the championships. It's not about what you've done before. The likes of Shalane Flanagan, bronze medal at this distance in Beijing, and indeed somebody who on a day well capable of getting in amongst things here. The American champion ran in Boston, the Boston Marathon this year as well. But when it comes down to winning major titles at 5,000, 10,000, nobody does it better than Dibaba. I remember Paris 10 years ago now. She came onto the scene as a 18-year-old. Well, Butler Stanley, I know she's 17. Paris would have been 17. Nia, already mentioned. Just talking about the weather, Brent. We were on about the marathon. You and I are sitting here. We're in our shorts and t-shirt, and it is really, really muggy tonight, isn't it? It's been warm, it's been hot, but it's very muggy tonight.
Well, when I met Mo Farah earlier today, he said the first thing he said to me was, "God, it was hot. God, it was tough." You know, and we looked at the race and we knew it was a competitive last lap, but he said it was really hard. The heat made it really hard. There didn't seem to be much air in that stadium, and you can sense that. You know, it is hot here tonight. It's humid, and we're looking at one of the all-time greats, Tirunesh Dibaba, the favourite for this event. 25 laps between her and a 5th World Championship gold medal.
Well, a pretty good crowd in this evening. Much more interest in tonight's proceedings, particularly for the 100-meter final, of course. It means that these women do have a good audience, unlike Mo last night. It doesn't matter, though, to the athletes, really, at the end of the day. Atmosphere certainly helps. But when you're running the 10,000 metres, I'm not sure that the crowd really have that much effect. It did for Mo Farah last year, of course, at the Olympic Games. But for these athletes, well, it's a real test tonight again. It's going to be a tough, long-distance race, the marathon. Incidentally, Bren, I was chatting to a friend of yours and Mr. Jos Hermans, who, of course, very close to a lot of the Ethiopians, Kenenisa Bekele and Gebre Selassie over the years, as we see Flanagan setting off already at a reasonable pace and building a lead. But he was talking about the marathon. I said, oh, you know, what do you think? One African in the top 10. He said, well, the difference is you come here and obviously you commit to try and win things, try and commit to win medals, or do you try and survive and pick off what you can? And, you know, it's an interesting, I guess, tactic. And already Flanagan, you'd say, well, would Flanagan come into this and think, you know what, I'm in shape, I'm running well. You know, this isn't a field full of top-level athletes behind Dibaba. I've got an opportunity here, and if I do make it a little bit of a test, I'm surprised that she's gone to the front this early, but you know, there are opportunities for people. We always tend to concentrate always on the Africans and expect them to come away with all the top places, but the marathon showed that doesn't always happen.
Certainly right. I mean, interestingly, Shalane Flanagan, she's come here. She ran the marathon last year in the Olympic Games. 10,000 metres, she's extremely good at 10,000 metres, and she's decided she's going to make a decent race of it. And Paula Radcliffe was saying earlier, she wishes somebody would go out and make a race of it. Well, we know Paula loves to see hard and fast distance races, and to be perfectly honest, so do we. But tonight's about medals, and the contenders won't be desperately interested in times, but Shalane Flanagan probably works it out. Her best way of winning a medal here is to make it a hard run race. That settles it down, that makes it go 2:30 for 800 meters. That's just over 3 minutes for the 1,000 meters. So it's over 30-minute pace, nearly 31-minute pace. But interestingly, Shalane Flanagan doing it sensibly.
Well, I know Paula knows Shalane Flanagan really well, and I would imagine, Paula, you'd be quite pleased to see her have a little bit of a go here, even at this early stage. It's a long way to go, but she's stretched them out.
Yes, there is a long way to go, but I'm thinking that Shalane maybe did watch the marathon yesterday and has realised that she can go out and take it high. I think she's also drawing on the fact that, number one, she's moved to the marathon a little bit recently. She was fourth in the Boston Marathon this year, and she maybe doesn't have the pace that she did back in 2008. When she ran a totally different race, she sat in the pack and came through late and wasn't even sure if she'd won the bronze medal, I think, at the finish. But for the American trials, she did run those in Des Moines, Iowa, in very hot and humid conditions, and went out pretty hard and pretty much killed off her training partner Cara Goucher's chances of being here at these championships because she tried to stay with her. But Shalane knows that she did handle those hot and humid conditions well and was able to maintain her pace. So she set out at pretty much on 30-minute pace with 72 second first lap, but then slowed right down to a 78, so maybe did think a little bit better of those tactics to go out quite so fast, and has now picked it up again to a 73. So she seems to be yo-yoing the pace here, which will hurt those athletes, and I think will surprise them too, because I don't think they were probably expecting her to go out and do this.
Yes, that first 1,000 metres covered in 3:07.5, which is, well, 31:10 pace exactly. I can't tell you, weather forecast update, it's suddenly got a little bit cooler. The air has changed and there's thunder and lightning overhead.
I'm pleased you've reverted to your weather forecasting.
I know you rely on me, Brent. It has, hasn't it? You felt the little bit of a cool breeze come in. That was somebody opened the door at the far end, one of the two. But it's certainly something we'll keep an eye on. It was actually Andrew Cotter who spotted the lightning, I have to be honest.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew. But there we're looking, single camera on Tirunesh Dibaba. And when I often think about Sunday lunch at the Dibaba house in Addis Ababa, her husband, double medalist at the Olympic Games, her sister, her older sister, Olympic silver medalist, her younger sister, world indoor champion, and this one, Tirunesh, the boss of the dynasty, the Dibaba dynasty. I wonder what they talk about on that Sunday lunch, Steve. Maybe athletics?
I reckon they discuss the football results from Saturday afternoon. Well, Genzebe, you know, you were talking about younger sister. Genzebe's a real talent, and at one point, I know she was would have liked, I think, to have run the 15 and the 5. You mentioned that this morning, didn't you? And we know that Tirunesh wanted to do the 5 and the 10. I read a quote from the Ethiopian management, which was rather bizarre, I thought, it said, you know, it's very tough to run 3 races in a week. Well, tell Mo Farah that, you know, they've doubled up in the past, they've done it in the, you know, they've shown that they can do it, they've shown they're capable of it, and, you know, why on earth they suddenly have changed that tactic, I'm not so sure.
Well, she's won it twice. She won the 5,000 and 10,000 metres before in the World Championships. She won the 5,000 and 10,000 in the Olympic Games. The fastest 10,000 metre runner in the world, Meseret Dayfar, is sitting watching this race. And when it comes to the 5,000 metres, the fastest 5,000 metre runner in the world, Tirunesh Dibaba, will be watching the 5,000 metres. She wanted to double, Meseret wanted to double, but the Ethiopian team management said, no, you can't, we're in charge. They do assert their control, and last year in London, they didn't do a very good job in the men's marathon particularly, caused a lot of disruption back there in Ethiopia, because, you know, the medals that they gain in major championships is a currency that they measure their success in as a country, because it's the international sport of athletics is about the only sport where they really distinguish themselves in the world. They used to be great at football, they're less good at football. They used to be African champions at football, but they're no good at that anymore. But distance running, they certainly are. And Tirunesh Dibaba, the best of the lot.
Flanagan setting a good pace here. Metronomic at the moment. 3:06.9 through the second kilometre, so 6:13 through 2K, 6:13 and bit, so hovering just around the just outside 31-minute pace, and that's good running. That's at anybody's standards. Her best in her career is 30 minutes and 22. And another little flash of lightning just appears directly overhead us, and those are ominous dark clouds. I can tell you that it's not just nighttime, they are very dark clouds. And there's a lot of it around. I'm looking up right above me. That'd be interesting. We haven't had any rain since, well, I think the day I arrived there was a bit of a heavy storm, but I don't think these 10,000 metre runners would be too disappointed with the current conditions. So, what she's done, Flanagan, if nothing else, has stretched them out. They've already got rid of a few, and the Ethiopians there, very, very comfortable as you'd expect, but Flanagan just stretching it out nicely, setting a good pace.
Well, you know, the marathon yesterday, the Ethiopian women didn't distinguish themselves. They came straight in from Addis Ababa, which there's little humidity at Addis Ababa. The altitude makes it that way. Well, when you come here to Moscow, the humidity is really high, and they haven't been here very long at all. And I just wonder, yesterday in the marathon, the Ethiopian women were expected to do an awful lot, including the Olympic champion Tiki Gilana, and nothing happened at all. They didn't get a medal. They weren't near it. To be honest, they didn't run at all well. Now, earlier today, we saw Aman, the favourite for the 800 metres, and he wasn't desperately impressive to me. I just wonder if they got their acclimatisation right. I would certainly hope they would, because this is an important moment, an important event for Tirunesh Dibaba, the Olympic champion, 10,000 metres last year. Previously, 5 and 10,000 metre champion in the World Championships. Twice she's won the 5,000, twice she's won the 10,000. And she is an athlete. She loves to compete. She loves to race. And she was desperately looking forward to racing against Dayfar. But to be honest with you, it makes it a lot easier for Tirunesh Dibaba to try and win this one, with Dayfar sitting in the stands.
Just at the back of that group there, that's Emily Chebet, who came back in fine style to regain her World Cross Country title. She ran down one of the other Ethiopians, who I think really was the favourite, Ayalu, as we have another kilometre almost exactly the same. Talk about metronomic running. And Chebet at the back of that group there. One in was rather different conditions than the World Cross Country, as you expect. It was pretty darn freezing. But Shalane Flanagan here is well, showing what good distance runners can do. Is Felix, another familiar figure, just going through the picture there. But Brent, she's running just under 75-second laps, and that previous kilometre, the first 3 kilometres have all been within 3:7.5, 3:6.9, 3:6.9.
She's running really well, you know. I mean, you know, she was a bronze medalist at the Olympic Games at 10,000 metres in 2008. Then she moved up to the marathon. She's clearly got the strength that the marathon brings, but she's also got pace judgment, and she knows what she's trying to do here. And I think this is interesting and excellent running so far. She seems to be very happy to be leading. We know these are difficult conditions for distance running. You see her flushing up and getting red, beginning to sweat. Nia of Japan following her. She knows what she wants to do and where she wants to be. And then the African athletes queuing up behind. They don't want to be in the front. The Kenyan team is not as strong as it has been in the past. But it's a little bit disappointing to me tonight. There's no British athlete in this event. Last year in the Olympic Games, Joe Pavey and Julia Bleasdale finished 7th and 8th. Well, Joe's taking time off to have another baby. Good luck to Joe. She's having a baby in a few weeks' time. But Julia Bleasdale seems to have vanished from the scene. She hasn't had a good year this year, but she was really promising last year. 8th in the 10,000 metres, 8th in the 5,000 metres. And British distance runners need to be represented in these championships.
Yeah, there was a very good performance by Gemma Steele in the States, wasn't it? 10K last week, ran 31 knots. She's in great shape. We're looking forward to perhaps transferring that onto the track in the future as the rain starts to come down here in the stadium. And Brendan's point is well made. Normally would have liked to see some representation. Now, Nia, who did this at the Olympics, didn't she? She led a lot of the early laps at the Olympic Games last year, but ended up finishing in 9th place. And well, it's not exactly been slow, has it? Flanagan set a good pace early on, and all of a sudden, Hitomi Nia Fukushi won a bronze medal in the marathon, which pleased, I'm sure, all of the Japanese nation, because they love their distance running, as I'm sure we do in Great Britain. But they seem to be able to get their athletes to the championships, particularly in the marathon, support them incredibly well. They have a great ability to get their 10,000 and marathon runners supported, and lots of big events, of course, which they then have to choose them from. But normally when they get to the games, the likes of Nia, not frightened to go and take this on.
You know, when you're running an endurance race like this in conditions which were difficult, and then the pace goes along as it does, one of the things that I think you'd do is 12:26, 4,000 meters, continuing that pace. That was a 73-second lap. And you look at the lap score, and you try not to look at the lap score for a few laps. Get those laps clicking off, and you know, just keep your eyes and avoid that lap scorer, because it's telling you 15 laps to go, and they're feeling a little bit tired now. And as the race goes on, obviously they'll increase in that tiredness. And it's about concentration, it's about positioning, but it's also about keeping yourself together with your race plan together. And the race plan has been delivered for these great African athletes by initially Shalane Flanagan, who's still at the back of the group, and Nia of Japan is now doing her share as Tiranish Dibaba closes down there and moves close to Nia of Japan in 2nd place.
Well, Nia has only run just inside 30 minutes. Her personal best is 30:59.19, and she's just taken them into that sort of territory by upping the pace a little there. 73-second lap as the weather continues to have an effect. You probably saw the flags in the background. We haven't had any breeze at all in the stadium for the first day, almost 2 days. And the rain coming down. I'm sure it's probably going to get heavier given what's above us, but the lightning's still there. But there's certainly a much cooler atmosphere, and that will help them. I'm not sure they'll be too happy if the wind picks up too much, but it's a stadium which is completely, or the track certainly is completely surrounded, but there's not much chance for the wind to get down there. But she's certainly taken out, Bren. I mean, this is pretty brave running at this stage, isn't it? Beyond, or just coming up to next time round the halfway point, and she's not frightened to lay down whatever she might be thinking about Dibaba or the rest of them. I think when you do this, you expect various athletes to drop off the pace, and there's no, you know, if you finish 5th or 6th or 7th, that's a good performance. Well, there is the evidence. That's been happening for the last 10 minutes or so, and the rain coming down.
I've got to say, Steve, I questioned your weather forecasting ability area, and I apologize now. You were absolutely right. As always, you're ahead of your time, but that was fantastic with the weather forecasting. You've got another career to go to as well, haven't you?
Can't take credit. Actually, the only thing I will say, because Andrew did point out the lightning, I did text one of my colleagues at 6 o'clock this evening and said it might be rain tonight, and I will show you as evidence later. There's Mockenhaupt, Sabrina Mockenhaupt, familiar figure on the roads and on the cross-country. So is Felix of Portugal, but they're all struggling here. It's good to see them here, though. You know, Europe has to have representation, and it would have been great to have seen somebody from Great Britain here, but as Ben was telling you, why not a little earlier. And Amy Hastings of the United States just struggling a little bit. .34, that quick kilometre, the pace being set at the moment by Hitomi Nia of Japan, and one by one just starting to drop off this a little bit. Flanagan doing her best to hang on, and it's just starting to have an effect as Ababel is the first to drift off that leading group, but they're strung out.
Nia still looking good. And you can see now the rain coming down. Tirunesh Dibaba will be welcoming the cooling effect of that rain with 12 laps to go in the women's 10,000 meters. And Tirunesh Dibaba, apart from being a fairly cool athlete in most senses, she's a tremendous competitor. She positions herself brilliantly in races. She's got a fantastic finish, and that's a big advantage, but she won't be desperate for a fast race. But little gaps beginning to open. 31-minute pace is taking its toll. They're beyond the halfway point. And there, on the far side, 3 Kenyan athletes following the 2 Ethiopians. And the first of the Ethiopians has dropped back. Arabelle has fallen away. Shalane Flanagan is dropping off the group, and now the consistent pace of Nia is now starting to make a real effect on this race. 2 Ethiopians follow, 3 Kenyans behind them, and then Shalane Flanagan right at the back and losing ground already.
Yeah, she's having a little look at the screen. It's got a different shot to the sheet side angle. She can see the effect it's having, and Flanagan and the next to go with this time 11 laps to go. Nia leads. Dibaba sits very closely behind her. Her teammate Algira in 3rd place. The Kenyans are led by Sally Chepyego. And then Chibet and Gladys Chirono. Well, Paula Radcliffe was a committed front runner on the track in the 5 and the 10,000, and has been in this position many times. What's Nia thinking now, Paula?
Well, I think to begin with, Nia was probably very, very happy that Shalane Flanagan went to the front and started grinding out that pace, because she was already setting out a tough pace. She was turning the screw, and one by one athletes were dropping off the back. So Nia could then work off that and inject greater pace. So she's pretty much lifted it down to 30-30 pace and below that they're running now, when they're running 73s. And that is hard. That turns the screw even more. And as we've seen, Shalane has paid the price for that. She tried to hang on for a little bit, and now she's drifting off the back. She needs to keep very focused now, because she's very much in no man's land there. And it looks to me like Asheta is going to be the next one to drop off the back, because she seems to be struggling to hang in there too. And I think this is an inspired run from Nia. She's obviously been taking inspiration from Fukush's run yesterday, and she knows that she runs well in these humid conditions, which, even though it's raining and it is cooling down, it is still humid there. And I think that's one thing that we've noticed running here, even at much slower pace. It feels hard, the pace that you're running at, because of the humidity, and the air does feel heavy.
Nia testing them. Dibaba content in 2nd place. Mo Farah was saying every lap that went by, he was so happy that it wasn't going quickly. He was looking forward to having a sprint finish. Well, if there's anybody in this field who's looking forward to a sprint finish, it will be Tirunesh Dibaba. Outstanding finisher, outstanding competitor, fantastic athlete, the greatest female distance runner in history. We're looking at this woman already. She became the youngest ever world champion in 2003, and since then she's literally gone on a spree of collecting gold medals. World Championships, Olympic Games, World Cross Country Championships, you name it, she's won it. And unusually for a distance runner, when you watch a distance runner run at 10,000 meters, the style of the athlete rarely bothers me, but she has got a beautiful style. She glides over the track, and that over the years has stood in good stead. And she's a distance runner, but when it comes to the last lap, she runs like a sprinter. Now, she's got a bit to do. Mo Farah said to me this morning how hard it was for him yesterday. And this will be starting to hurt Tirunesh Dibaba. That constant 73 seconds, under 31-minute pace. And there the little gaps just a yard or two between each one. They're all getting a comfortable ride. There's nobody pushing and shoving, but Nia is doing a fantastic job, and I'll tell you, she'll be a good marathon runner in the future. She's got a really economical style. She's not like a track runner in any sense. She's got an uncomfortable style, but for a marathon, that's a really good action and a really good style, and I think we'll see Nia run a good marathon, because the Japanese, they like distance running, but they love marathon running, and I think she'll be in the marathon runner of the future. And everywhere you go in the world, Steve, when the Ethiopians are running, you see the Ethiopian fans come and watch them. They are their representative, and on the world stage, it's athletics that brings the attention to this country. And Haile Gebrselassie, the emperor of distance running, knows and tells me every time I see him how important these championships, these big world events are. And back home in Meskel Square in Addis Ababa, they erect big screens in the square, and the crowds gather round, and they'll be cheering in Meskel Square for Tirunesh Dibaba. They love Tirunesh. They don't have great celebrity in Ethiopia. It's not a big thing like it is in the Western world. But I tell you what, she is a celebrity in Ethiopia. She's a fantastic athlete. And I remember seeing pictures of her wedding when she married Seleshi Sahin, the Olympic silver medalist. There were 60,000 people turned up in the stadium to watch her wedding.
Well, she's having to work hard, because this is really good performance by Nia. She's stretching them, and all of a sudden there was a couple of gaps started to appear. And I was about to say while you were talking, Brent, that you know, Chepyego and Chebet haven't run this fast. They've never run this quick for 10,000 meters, and all of a sudden Chepyego, who is leading the Kenyans, let a gap appear. Chebet and Chirono slipped by her, thinking we can't let that happen. There she is at the back of the group now, and she's hanging on. Ashete is hanging on, and Nia is doing a cracking job. That was actually, though, the slowest lap for a while. It was a 75, but look at that, the first of the Kenyans, Chepyego, Sally Chepyego, at the back of the group, under real pressure as they come to lap Amy Hastings of the USA. What was that lap? A 74.6 again. Pressure being turned. Paula talked about turning the screw here. And one by one, they're dropping off this group. And if she keeps this going for another 3 or 4 laps, we might get down to certainly 4, maybe 5.
And we'll be finding ourselves today, like yesterday, we were willing the leader to go on and win a medal, which she did in the marathon, the Italian athlete. And here today, we'll be willing Nia to try and get amongst them and get a medal. And looking in 4th place there, there's Dibaba in 2nd, and just behind Dibaba, Emily Chebet, the Kenyan athlete, in 4th place. That's twice the world cross-country champion, and she came here, and I bet she's a bit surprised that she's coming here on an evening like this, in a race like this, the height of the summer here in Moscow. She'll be surprised that she's having to run a personal best. She's on her way to a personal best. Dibaba just poised there. Algira just behind her, and then the double world cross-country champion behind her. So we've got a competitive race there. Still the favourite, Tirunesh Dibaba. Now she can look at the scoreboard. 6 laps to go in the women's 10,000 metres. And what a performance so far from the Japanese.
Hitomi Nia clicking the laps off in impressive style, trying to burn them off, trying to get rid of the talent behind her. Dibaba looks comfortable as ever. Behind her, a teammate, Algira. And certainly Algira and Gladys Chirono have been there already once this year. I talked about the big 10,000 in Ostrava it was, wasn't it? Yes, and Defar, of course, heads the world list when she ran 30.08, but that other race in Ostrava, those three went to, well, they were pretty close to each other until the latter stages. And Chebet's in there now. Ashete is gone, so now there's 5. As I was talking about those 2 Kenyans trying to hang on to the 2 Ethiopians, and I'm with you, Brent, on this. I think a lot of people will be, that if Nia could just keep this going, just keep pushing, I'm not sure she'll be able to completely get them down to just 3, but with 5 laps to go, even she must be just starting to think, you know what, she's looking up at the screen, 5 people left. This is a really gutsy, strong performance. 74.1, she's not letting up at all.
24.48 for 8,000 meters, and that is pretty impressive. It's about 30 minutes 50 pace, which is really, really good in these conditions, and the conditions are having taking their toll. The other thing is, you know, you've got lapped athletes here, and it's sometimes a bit difficult when you've got a big group. When you start racing, you've got to overtake the lapped athletes. There used to be a convention where the lapped athletes moved to the outside, and I think that should be the case these days, because it sometimes causes disruption in a race, and hopefully it never is going to affect the result. But I've seen that sort of situation affect the result. But tonight, let's hope it doesn't affect the result at all. Chebet just hanging on there in 4th place, just a yard or two opening. Nia's pulling them away, and one by one they've slipped away from this group. 2 Ethiopians, 2 Kenyans follow the Japanese athlete, and now they're coming into Tirunesh Dibaba's territory. They're approaching 4 laps to go. She's looking up at the screen. She's checked everything she needs to know. She needs to know she's got company. She's got company. She needs to know when she's going to make a move. Well, we can guess when she makes a move. It'll be as late as possible. She's striding magnificently, looking beautifully poised on the track, in the position you sense that she could take over whenever she wanted. But there's still 3 athletes behind her.
Well, one last thought from Paula as we enter the crucial part of this race. 3.5 laps to go, and well, it's had an effect, but is it enough now, Paula? Is there anything else she can do?
I think she's doing absolutely everything that she can do here. I mean, I'm watching this and just hoping as if I was racing it. Please, just 2 more just drop off the back of that, because what she doesn't want to do is these laps tick away and she gets down to that last lap is see 3 athletes sitting behind her, because that's a heartbreaking way to do it. But it's a very hard race that she's running here, and you've got to see that she's running PB pace for her, comfortably under a PB, and that's tough to come here and do that. Grind it out, and she's just, in her mind, she's just thinking and hoping that one more person can just drop off the back of that, and then one more.
3 laps to go. She hasn't taken her eyes off the scoreboard. Every time she comes round, there's one at the bottom end, and as soon as she can see it, she's looking up, trying to see if anything is happening behind her, trying to see whether she's getting rid of another one. Chirono's at the back of the group, Chebet ahead of her. Algira tucked in behind Dibaba, and they're just getting a bit closer now, aren't they? They're gathering now as we approach 1,000 meters to go, and I wonder whether Nia's got one more effort. And in fact, as I say that, look at Chirono realizing that she needs to be closer here, sensing that perhaps one of the Ethiopians, maybe Algira, might just make a bit of a move. I doubt she will. I think she'll just follow Dibaba when she goes, and Chebet now the back of those 5. Nia still leading. 3:05 again. Another similar kilometre, 27:54, 1,000 metres to go.
1,000 metres to go in the women's 10,000 metres. The favourite and the champion is double champion from a few years ago. The youngest ever champion in the history of the World Championships. And you know, down the straight now, 2 laps to go. This is her time. And the distance runner, when you've got speed at the finish, your confidence begins to soar as you see the lap scorer going down to 2 laps. Nia done a brilliant job, worked so hard, but she's still got 4 athletes in contention. And Tirunesh Dibaba is following her closely. We're getting into the domain of Tirunesh Dibaba. This athlete is, I would say, the only athlete in the whole of the World Championships who's never lost a race at this distance. She's run 10 races at 10,000 metres. She's won them all. This is her 11th, and there won't be an athlete in the whole of the World Championships who've never been beaten at their own distance. This lady carries that mantle, and we all hope, because she's so great an athlete, that she can continue that streak tonight. 600 metres remaining. Tirunesh Dibaba is poised on the shoulder of the brave athlete from Japan.
Hitomi Nia, the long-time leader. Dibaba, for the first time, has a little glance at the bottom of the stadium, because she can see the screen and she can see the 2 Kenyan athletes hovering. Emily Chebet managed to outkick her teammate Ayalu at the World Cross Country Championships, but I don't think we'll see the same sort of thing here as Dibaba makes her first move, and followed by Algira and Chirono as they go past the Japanese athlete for the first time.
Tirunesh Dibaba hears the bell. She strikes from the front. She drifted to the front, and now it's a sprint. Has she got the strength and speed that we've seen from this champion in the past? Algira, her teammate, is tracking her, and down the back straight at her very best. They can't live with her. Can it be the same tonight? Look at the glory and the majesty of this athlete, the most successful athlete that we've seen at these championships. She's on her way, is it to a 5th World Championship gold medal? No other athlete has won 5 gold medals individually in the World Championships. She's on her way to that.
Checks one last time. Chirono's put a brave chase on, but it's not going to be enough. The crowd rise in the home straight, and so they should. A majestic performance from the Queen of Distance Running. Her 5th World gold medal, as Brendan was saying, never beaten, never fronted, the champion again. Gold for Ethiopia, silver for Kenya, and bronze for Ethiopia. Chebet just outkicked in the end. Well, there was an air of inevitability about that, and of course, the only person who tried to change the plan was Nia, and there she is. And your heart has to go out to the Japanese athlete who shakes her head, because she ran a brilliant race. She ran a race which, well, you can see what it's done to her. She's distraught. She did everything she could, but you couldn't really see any way in which to get rid of Dibaba. She only hoped that perhaps her reward would be a medal at the end of all of that. Wasn't to be. Tirunesh Dibaba with a 59.9 last lap, Bren. How many times have we seen that? And it's never not anything but impressive.
11 races at 10,000 meters, 11 victories at 10,000 meters. This woman is the greatest distance runner, female distance runner in history. What a fantastic victory again tonight. They're terrified of her. They don't know how to beat her. And 59.9 for the last lap. You'd have to be some athlete to beat her. But she is a great competitor as well as a great champion. She wins the races as she wants to win the races. Congratulations there for Tirunesh Dibaba. And on that last lap, 59.96, cruising to the front. And here we look at the last lap. Tirunesh Dibaba drifting to the front, hasn't started a sprint yet, beginning to open a few yards, beginning to show the form. The distance runner is transformed into a sprinter on the last lap. Never beaten at 10,000 meters, 3 times the Olympic champion, the youngest ever world champion, now 5 individual world championship gold medals. And Tirunesh Dibaba becomes the most individually bemedaled athlete in the history of the World Championships. This is a historic moment in distance running. The Queen of Distance Running on her way to the 5th gold medal, which in my view, the empress of the track. No athlete in history has been more successful winning gold medals on the track or in the field. Female athlete, I'm talking about 5 World Championships, 3 Olympic golds, the world record holder at 5,000 meters, the Ethiopian Empress of athletics. That was a fantastic performance. We saw history tonight, and that was it. That makes her the most successful female athlete ever in athletics. And you think about the name, Steve, that kicking around there, that puts her on some kind of pedestal. And you know what? She's been my favorite athlete for an awful long time, since she was the youngest ever world champion. What a privilege it's been to be around in the days of Tirunesh Dibaba.
Well, from one great champion to another, and he's got his own collection of gold medals. Will there be another one tonight? She's won 5 individual World Championship gold medals. He's going after his 4th individual one. That one coming up in about 15 minutes.
Sandra Perkovic has led since the very first throw of this women's discus final, and only Melina Robert-Michon of France can beat her now. It's the French record holder's last throw. It's not far enough, but Robert-Michon is guaranteed a silver medal. That's by far and away the French athlete's best performance ever in a major championship. Yariles Barrios of Cuba wins yet another global championship medal. She's won Olympic medals, World Championship medals in the past. She gets the bronze medal. but Sandra Perkovic turns Olympic gold into World Championship gold a year after. Robert Michon gets a very well-deserved silver medal, but Perkovic 67.99, that's a distance that only she has surpassed this season. Absolutely superb performance from the very first Croatian to win an Olympic gold medal. Now she becomes the world champion. There is the result. New national record for Robert Michon, 66.28. Barrios of Cuba, 64.96. Nadine Muller disappointed in 4th place. But the major honours go to Sandra Perkovic once more.
Well done to Perkovic, one of those athletes who has been so consistent over the season, delivers on the biggest stage when it matters and has all that pressure, but she's got the gold. Well done to Sandra Perkovic, and well done to Tirunesh Dibaba. Tirunesh means you are good in her mother tongue. I think she needs to upgrade that. She is great, one of the greats, and that race was set up perfectly in the way that we see Mo being set up perfectly for the sprint finish. The similarities between them actually are there's quite a few.
There's a lot. I mean, they don't call her the babyface destroyer for nothing. I mean, she totally destroyed and broke Nia's heart out there. But she can walk off that track and she can hold her head up high, because she came here, she knew she didn't have a finish. She knew she couldn't compete with the likes of Dibaba. I mean, who can? Even Chirono is way back there. She didn't believe when they kicked at the bell. Chirono didn't believe that she could go with her. She was racing for the silver medal. And what Nia was desperately hoping was that she could break that group down to 3, so that when they kicked, she knew she couldn't kick, but she could hold that bronze medal position. She wasn't able to do that, but she's got a personal best out of it at least, and she knows that she tried. She knows that she gave it her best shot, and that's what some of those guys last night in the 10K, they can't say. They can't say that they gave it their absolute best, because they would have walked off with a little bit in hand. They didn't go and try and grind it out, and she threw a 3-minute kilometre in the middle of that, which is a minute faster than her PB pace. So she went out and she gave it absolutely everything that she could.
Paula was getting so
really
emotional because you just recognised the way she raced. You said, oh, this is me going out there and trying to break the field down. But she didn't seem to have, I don't know, maybe 6-7 minutes with 3 or 4 laps to go. You wanted her to change the pace a bit, to try and drop one of them off, and they weren't going. And it was that heartbreaking look up to the screen where she wanted to see less people behind her, and they were still there.
It's exactly that. I mean, each lap she's looking up to the screen and her heart's thinking one more drop off, and each lap that's ticking by, Dibaba's thinking this is getting easier now, this is getting really into my territory. And she could have won that race any way that it was run tonight. If they'd jogged round, she still would have kicked away and she still would have won it. But Nia ran that hard, and that's what I was just thinking, yeah, I've been there. I know what that feels like to look up at that screen each time, and we're just sitting here hoping that one more would drop off as well. If she could have just injected another kilometre in 3 minutes, like you said, at 5 laps to go, 4 laps to go, then that could have done the damage. If Chibet had been able to go to the front and go off that might have done damage as well, because you never know. That's the thing when you're at the front and you're turning the screw, you never know when they might drop away.
But how amazing is Dibaba? It's just incredible. We're all sort of sitting here with the crowd waiting for the likes of Bolt. But here's a woman that has done everything there is to do on the track. And yet somehow you just feel she still doesn't get the true recognition that she deserves. You know, the sport is effectively hinged on one man, but this woman is incredible. You know, diminutive figure, but look at her accolades just speak volumes.
She went to live with her cousin Derata Tulu, and she was late registering for school and decided that she would stay and throw herself into athletics so she wasn't forced to get married when she got back to her village. And you know, just you can't even imagine, can you, coming from the backgrounds that we all do, the kind of cultural influences and the decisions that she's had to make and do something which is, you know, outside of what was expected of her, and she just has blown the world away.
She has, and another woman like that, we'll see you in the 400-metre final. You know, she is just incredible. Moncho is the same in Botswana. She's revered, she's so well respected, and a true role model. We use that word very lightly sometimes, but you know, she is a true role model for the young girls following her and looking up to her.
Well, the superlatives that Brendan was throwing at Tirunesh Dibaba there, and I think you can see she's very much appreciated around these parts. An incredible goal, a gutsy run as always from Dibaba. Well, the clock is ticking down. It's almost time for the men's 100-metre final.
showtime indeed, and Brendan and Andrew and I have got the best seats in the house, I guess. Just sitting above the finish line here in the Luzhniki Stadium. We await, like everybody else, the arrival at that finish line of the men in the 100 metres, and there's one man in particular who we expect to arrive first. And that's only based, of course, on the fact that he is the greatest ever. And all of the superlatives, as Gabby was saying, that you can throw at athletes, you start to run out of them, don't you? And you have to find ways to try and describe their exploits, and the best way for that to happen is for them to keep producing something a bit better than they have done before. Is Bolt still capable of that? Well, Desaolu has produced better performances than ever before. 9.91, of course, in the UK trials, and then a really, really good run, a really encouraging performance to make it through to the final. 9.97. Just to remind you, if you weren't here with us earlier on, the standard of this final, incredible really. Christophe Lemaitre made it through. He was given a time of 10 seconds flat, but so was Zhang of China, but they had to go to 9 thousandths of a second difference between the two of them. So that was 9.991 for Lemaitre and 10 seconds exactly for Zhang, who ran a Chinese record. So it's Lemaitre who lines up in the final. Four Jamaican athletes, Gatlin and Rogers of the USA. Gatlin, a former champion, and actually when he won his World Championships back in Helsinki in 2005, he was actually the only man in the final to run under 10 seconds. I'm not sure that's going to be the same case here tonight. We've already seen superb performances in the semi-final to make it through. One or two surprising ones. One for me was Nikhil Ashmead, who's just to the other side of Justin Gatlin. 9.90, new personal best for him. And for you stats fans, as we go through with lane by lane here, there has been a 1, 2, 3, 4 before at the World Championships in the 200 meters. Again, in 2005, the USA managed that. So Desaolu going for Great Britain. Next to him, Christophe Lemaitre, the best that Europe has to offer these two at the moment. Lemaitre getting ahead of his teammate Jimmy Vico to get into this final. Nikhil Ashmead of Jamaica. Not the most well-known of the Jamaican athletes, of course. They've got so many ahead of him. And let's not forget the fact that Tyson Gay, Safa Powell, two big names not here because of pending drug suspensions. And of course, this man here, Justin Gatlin, the controversy which has surrounded his career. 2 times he's been banned. He's here tonight, the only man who people think may beat Usain Bolt. Bolt lost to Gatlin in Rome. Said they weren't my legs, they didn't feel like my legs. Well, Usain Bolt up to his familiar antics. It is still coming down hard, the rain, and the crowd loving the fact that Bolt still, it's good to see him actually relaxing a little bit. I thought he's been a little bit not quite himself, but playing to the crowd as ever. Bailey Cole, Nesta Carter, the quick starter. Man who, again, impressed in qualification, impressed this season, run that 9.87, his personal best 9.78. And the rain continues to fall now for this 100-meter final. Is that going to affect things? Rogers, who's been a bit of a revelation. Only made the team because of Tyson Gay's withdrawal. The greatest sprinter of all time once more comes to the blocks. Once more in a quest to win gold. 2 years ago in Daegu, he was robbed of this gold medal. He robbed himself. A false start, of course, and the rain continues to fall. Desaolu, Lemaitre, Ashmead, Gatlin, Bolt, Bailey, Cole, Carter, Mike Rogers, the men's 100-meter final. They get away, Gatlin backs, gets the best start, Bolt's right alongside him, Gatlin leading at the moment, but here comes Usain Bolt. Now Bolt's going to get there, he just storming past them, and Bolt's going to take the gold medal again! 9.78! Unbeatable, unsurpassable. Could you ever doubt him? What a roar from this crowd. His 4th individual World Championship gold medal. Gatlin did well, got a good start, put him under pressure. But when the big day comes, the big man performs. Gatlin pleased with his silver medal, I'm sure. Carter taking the bronze. 9.85 for Gatlin, Carter 9.95. It was only about those two. When you look at Bolt's performances in major championships, yes, we've had world records in the past. Yes, we've had all-comers records, and he's done another one here in Russia. But this was in the rain tonight in Moscow. But the World Championships belong to Bolt again. Carter delighted with his bronze. But just look at this. And if any sport has a bigger star, then please show me him. He sometimes carries the shoulders of the sport on his shoulders. And unfortunately, Christophe Lemaitre got injured. Has been stretchered off. Desaolu did really well to make it through to the final, finished 8th in the end. Bolt, as ever, the showman, but it's really just about his performances. And you know, there are plenty of athletes over the years who've been favourites, they've been big favourites, and there are always questions about them, but he never fails to deliver. Gatlin got out well, didn't he? And just at this point here, Bolt having to find top gear. Gatlin made him do that, but once he's ahead, that's the end of it. It was really just a question of the clock. Not one of his fastest, but it was quick enough. 9.78. Actually, he's been taken down 9.77, the quickest he's run this year. Well, as we see these celebratory scenes for Jamaica, of course, the relay will be something which they'll turn their attention to eventually after the 200. Of course, Bolt will have his eyes on that, but let's just have another bit of analysis on that race. Colin Jackson, your thoughts?
Well, it was a good race. Yeah, the rain was coming down. We knew that may affect some of the athletes' attitudes, but Usain turned it on when it really mattered. He didn't have the best of starts. Justin Gatlin blasted out of the blocks, and he really wanted to take it to Usain and said, if you're going to take this title, you're going to have to work for it. I'm not going to give it to you. And of course, Justin ran a season's best for him of that 9.85. Was a really strong performance. But you can see once Usain gets into that upright running, he starts to chase Justin down. He gets to his shoulder by centimetres, and at this stage now he can just think and rely on his big, long stride length that's going to pull him away for this field. And he really wasn't bothered once he got to Justin's shoulders. It may be a little bit different if Justin could have hung on for 10 metres more. Perhaps Usain would have tightened up a little bit, but this man is a real champion. He's been here on many occasions. People have doubted him on many occasions, and every single time, when push comes to shove, Usain Bolt finds that extra gear, moves away from the field, and clocks quick times. James, well, he didn't reproduce what we expected him to do. We wanted him to see if he could possibly go into that magical 10-second barrier again. It wasn't going to happen. I think it took a lot out of him actually being in this final. He ran very well in the semi-finals. To be in this final, we all knew it was going to be tough. It's been a long time since we've had a British finalist in the men's 100 metres. It's a really good job that he's done there.
Well, a great experience for James Dasolu, but a fantastic champion. Usain Bolt back as world champion after the blip of Daegu. And the rain came down so kind of almost symbolically right at the start. We haven't seen rain since we arrived here in Moscow, and it came down to ensure perhaps it was going to be a little bit slower than if we'd had dry conditions, Denise. But again, he produces when it matters.
Well, it becomes a mental battle for the guys out there. You know, can I deal with any conditions thrown at me? And, you know, Usain Bolt in those conditions ran really well. You know, I was kind of getting tense again at 70 metres. I thought, will he do it? Will he do it? But as Colin says, he is the man of the moment. He thrives off this kind of challenge. And once he was upright in his running, he just thrives off it. And, you know, again, the depth and breadth of the Jamaican sprinting was there in force yet again. You know,
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5 guys in the final. But again, plus for, I guess, the Europeans, we've got two in the final there, with Lemaitre and James Dasolu. He'll learn from this, I think, and will hopefully go on to compete more with the likes of these guys.
Sadly, Michael Johnson not here to discuss the lack of American sprinters there in that final. He will be with us tomorrow, we should say. If you people are asking where MJ is, he'll be with us tomorrow, and I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about Bolt's performance in this. And he takes his responsibility, Paula, as an icon of the sport very seriously.
He does. I mean, you can just see, if you look at the track there, you'll see the amount of photographers around him, the amount of attention around him, and then you look a little bit further down and there's Justin Gatlin. Yeah, because of his history maybe, but there's not that interest around him. And it is just because of the character that Usain is and the way that he goes out and grabs that. Talking about Dibaba earlier and why she maybe doesn't have that. I think she doesn't have the charisma that he has, and she doesn't speak English. And unfortunately, in today's world, that if she's not prepared to go out and talk to the media and make herself a personality in the way that Gemma Selassie has done, then she's not going to get to the same level, and there will remain one superstar in the sport, which is Usain Bolt.
When you say there that she hasn't got the charisma of Bolt, you know, I can't think of many sports stars in the world that have got the charisma of Bolt, Colin. I mean, he has more charisma than most of us could ever conjure up in a lifetime. He loves performing, and when he was making his faces on the line then, you thought, oh, all is good in the world, we've restored to normal kind of behaviour, because in the heats he did look a bit tense and a bit like, oh, I'm back on this stage. But that's almost a way of relaxing for him, isn't it? To pull the eyebrow faces and make the hand gestures.
I love it, because he hasn't really changed much from the age of 15. When he's winning the World Junior Championships, he was exactly the same. He was the same showman then as we see today. And I absolutely love the fact that he does that. He brings the whole event alive. And he does it in a very positive way. You know, young people training, they want to be like Usain Bolt. Young kids running on the street, they always pretend they're Usain Bolt. And I think for us in the world of athletics, that's what we want to see. Really iconic figures who are doing that, because he'll have a resonance with every single event. You know, there'll be distance runners who will understand what he's doing. There'll be throwers who will understand what he's doing. I think that's the real magic of Usain Bolt. Phenomenal.
Of course, we'd love Phil to catch a word with him right now, but I think everyone wants a word with Usain Bolt right now. If we don't manage to get it on air, we rest assured that it will be on the website, and we will hear from him over the next couple of days, because he does like to talk. That's the beauty of Usain. He's not shy of sharing his feelings.
No, he's not, but obviously he's got to go through the world's media. They all want to hear what he's got to say. But as Colin said, you know, that attitude, that relaxation, that showmanship is something that people are trying to replicate. You remember through the 90s, it was all serious and everyone was focused and down the line and not really showing this display. But it's an entertainment. You know, this is sport, should be fun, it should be enjoyable, and whilst you're in form, enjoy it while it's there.
Yeah, we often see him on the Diamond League, and Colin said, you know, don't underestimate how technically knowledgeable he is, how much he cares about breaking his race down, because it looks so easy, Paula, because it looks so natural. You know, you think it's a walk in the park for him, but you know, he's a real student of sprinting as well.
He is, and he's very, very hard on himself, and I think he likes to play the joker. He likes to act up to the crowd, and the crowd love that, and he likes to talk about how many chicken nuggets he can eat, but actually he's very, very serious about what he does, and when he goes down to his training, he'll knuckle down and he'll get the work done, and he will assess the race afterwards to see, like any athlete does, what they can take away from it, what they learn from it, and what they need to work on.
I think sometimes people may see this performance and think, oh, well, he only ran 9.77. It wasn't particularly very fast, was it? Well, when you think there's only two nations with national records faster than that, one is Jamaica and the other one's the United States, it is still a sensational, a phenomenal performance that he's just delivered. It's just that we get spoiled by having him on the track on such a regular basis.
And of course, he's got his 200 metres, he's got his relays to come as well, so there is plenty more of Usain Bolt in these championships and plenty more athletics for you tomorrow as well. Our coverage starts in the morning at 9:15. Which is 6:15 your time, I should say, yes. We're up that early here. And at 3:30 we'll be back on. And it's BBC 2 tomorrow for you. We're looking forward to Christina Horrigu going in the final of the 400 metres. There's the men's pole vault final as well. The heptathlon starts, Denise, as well. And there's plenty more to look forward to. The women's 100 metres semi-finals and finals as well. We have Asher Phillip going in that semi-final. Will we get our first woman in a final at the World Championships ever? We've never, Great Britain, had a woman in that final. But it's clear that today there are actually two stars emerged from day two. Tirunesh Dibaba, invincible at 10,000 metres, and the global star of athletics, Usain Bolt, does it once again. See you tomorrow.